Tivemos um encontro, o ProCivTech, foi um encontro de muitas aprendizagens, onde debatemos sobre a proposta de que o facto que a região vai ter uma capital europeia da cultura e pelos desafios que a Proteção Civil vai ter à volta de um evento como este, que vai concentrar na cidade e na região como um todo, porque este é um projeto da região, vai concentrar para, em momentos, principalmente em momentos que vamos ter picos, fizemos aqui um encontro para avaliar como é que novas tecnologias, e em particular a inteligência artificial, podem ser colocados ao serviço destas entidades. Os desafios são muitos, e por isso fizemos-lo e convidámos que o evento acontecesse nestes dois momentos. Num momento em que também iremos receber os parceiros do projeto AURORAL, que já está no seu último ano e que foi, desde o início, um compromisso da CCDR com um projeto que tem na sua gênese a intenção de smartificar, e permitam-me assim o palavrão, comunidades rurais. Este desafio tem sido um trabalho contínuo e que sempre com um objetivo muito claro, foi de que fosse um projeto que gerasse um conjunto de outros projetos a aplicar na região, e coisa que já fez. O AURORAL teve abertas um conjunto de open calls, às quais concorreram muitíssimos projetos e que convidámos a exporem lá embaixo. Por isso, este momento tem lá embaixo na galeria uma exposição que não quisemos que fosse restrita ao projeto AURORAL, e por isso fizemos um convite a todas as entidades que têm projetos Horizon Europe no território, e em particular aquelas ligadas com esta área de tecnologias. Também com o objetivo de que, se estamos todos a trabalhar e a fazer investigação pelo território, é importante que nos conheçamos e que a gente possa trabalhar em conjunto e que a gente possa partilhar o resultado destes projetos, que são tão importantes. A maior parte destes projetos são 4 anos de trabalho intensivo na região, de partilha com parceiros europeus, e por isso faz sentido que a gente consiga trabalhar em conjunto e partilhar resultados e conhecimentos e aquilo que vem daqui, e por isso este momento, este dia, tem que ser o primeiro de muitos trabalhos futuros e de parcerias para os seguintes projetos em que a gente possa trabalhar, e dizer-vos que a CCDR continua a querer ser parceira de projetos futuros e a trabalhar em conjunto. Estão, por isso, todos convidados depois a visitarem lá embaixo a exposição e a perceberem isso, e peço-vos que mantenham depois este contacto de proximidade connosco para esta partilha e para aquilo que temos pela frente. Depois importa também, devo-vos também dizer que vos trago os cumprimentos do Sr. Presidente da CCDR, que não pode hoje estar aqui, e, portanto, este momento, na realidade, é um momento de representação do Presidente. Vou também fazer o encerramento com um pequeno resumo daquilo que vamos fazer hoje aqui, e por isso gostava também de ouvir de cada um de vocês os contributos e a partilha de contactos para aquilo que temos pela frente. Dizia-vos também, falo-ei novamente no final, mas importa sempre, em cada momento, agradecer, porque quando chegamos ao final destes encontros e quando temos o evento propriamente dito, para isto estar a correr bem, é sinal que muita gente já está a trabalhar há muitos meses aqui internamente para este momento. Por isso, à Patrícia, muito obrigada, a toda a equipa da comunicação, muitíssimo obrigada, e muito obrigada, uma obrigada muito especial ao Rui, que não sei onde é que ele anda, mas eu nunca sei de onde é que anda o Rui, mas muito obrigada ao Rui, que aceitou o desafio de ser nosso parceiro constante nestas áreas, mas também aqui ser coordenador do AURORAL. E, portanto, antes de me despedir, eu vou só dirigir agora umas palavrinhas em inglês para os nossos parceiros do AURORAL. So, Rui, eu estava-te a fazer um agradecimento muito particular a ti, tu não estavas na sala, mas pronto, fica feito. So, to our partners, to our AURORAL partners, I'm so glad that you are here with us today. It is a very special moment. I was saying thank you so much to Rui. He is now our coordinator in AURORAL, and I'm so glad for this work. I'm so glad that you are all here, and then in that we are committed together to finish with success this project. Since the beginning, that we all want that this project can be the start of new projects. It is already working in this way, because now we have already several projects working from AURORAL and working from the open calls, the result of the open calls. And but we want more. We want that this will be the start of future partnerships for we all work together again in the future of our region. For we all that need to work in rural regions, rural communities, the challenge to make the regions working with and taking advantage of new technologies is always a bit, it's always bigger than the other regions. So it's very different from the typical urban regions. So you always can count with Alentejo, and I hope you enjoy Évora and everything that Alentejo have to offer to you. And again, you are so welcome, and we are so thankful for you to being here. Thank you so much.
Bom dia a todos. Eu também direi umas palavras em português e depois em inglês. Antes de mais, gostaria de saudar todos os presentes, agradecer este convite para estar aqui nesta sessão sobretudo, reiterar também à senhora Vice-Presidente da CCDR o desafio que aqui foi colocado de não só manter, mas incentivar parcerias. Claramente que eu acho que o futuro das nossas instituições e do território onde nós nos integramos passa por essas parcerias e pelo aprofundamento dessas parcerias. Portanto, diria sim a esse desafio, e um sim muito caloroso. E agora diria umas palavras em inglês. Tinham-me dito, no fundo, que a intervenção seria em inglês e, portanto, foi nessa área que eu preparei. So, well, good morning to all. First of all, I would like to thank you to the CCDR for this invitation, for being here in this opening session. In fact, I can only look at this invitation as a clear reflection of the importance that the members of this project give to higher education institutions as central elements in the process of economic development of the regions and, of course, in the innovation chain that must underpin this process of development. On behalf of the University of Évora, the second oldest university in Portugal, I would like to thank you all for this recognition. As is mentioned in the presentation of this project, one of the main objectives is to contribute to increase economic growth and create jobs in rural areas and to tackle significant societal challenge, contributes to overcoming digital divide between rural and urban areas and to develop the potential offered by increased connectivity and digitalization of rural areas. This is one of the main objectives of AURORAL. And in this way, contribution to the cohesion and the leverage of the regions within the European framework. A goal that in Portugal, despite all the political speeches and intentions and all the public policies, remains a problem and therefore an unfulfilled objective. And the Alentejo is, in fact, a good example of the problems that the lack of a real cohesion policy still poses today. In fact, despite all the efforts, we still maintain a way of looking to the territory marked by a discontinuity, by the perception that behind an imaginary border, there are neither opportunities nor challenge, what in fact is not a reality today. But this way of looking to the territory is until today a limit that must be overcome. This is also why this project is so important, in addition to the more global challenge and the necessity to give the regions a voice in Europe, in a Europe that is increasingly a Europe of countries. In this valorization of the regions, of their role in the economy and the need to ensure that all the regions have the conditions for an integrated and balanced economic development, higher education institutions play a central role. Not just because of their ability to attract human resources and talent, but also because of their ability to provide competitive funding, to produce knowledge, and to be central elements in the innovation chain. Some of the projects that will be presented here prove this, particularly in the area of digitalization, some of them developed by the teachers and the researchers of the University of Évora. Digitalization is one of our strategic areas of growing, and our involvement in European networks has enabled us to be increasingly successful in European projects. As the so-called Draghi report shows, higher education institutions have or must play a growing role in innovation and in the reconfiguration of the growing of Europe in a global world. Without their contribution, it will be difficult for Europe to face up to global challenge and increase its competitiveness at international level. This is a challenge for Europe that must also be built from within, from its regions and its people, ensuring that development and growth that everyone is looking for, it can be a reality. So I can only wish you a great workshop during all day, a good discussion around this project that links different countries and institutions, and as Carmen said, enjoy Évora if you have time, because it's worth to enjoy, and enjoy Alentejo because it's in fact a very beautiful region. Thank you very much.
Pasta auroral está aqui. é um bocado complicado, ver se consigo aqui por cima então. Apresentar online, talvez aqui. Não. É aqui, este rato aqui para vir aqui abaixo. Agora tenho que apagar ali. É aqui, eu sei agora como é que ele vem cá abaixo. Já conseguiste, pronto. Agora põe grande. Como é que eu faço? É só fazer aqui, né? É só passar aqui. Okay, hello, good morning all. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be there in an auditorium where I pass a lot of times in my life in different jobs and tasks. And this is also an excellent opportunity to discuss a very challenging issue, the knowledge chain in regional development. Knowledge chain, regional development. So, 4 words, 4 concepts, very important. And to address that together is absolutely important. I will try to explore it using my experience. First, my experience as a researcher and a teacher in the Évora University. In the 90s, I developed my career working in information management and understanding that in the world, you have the real world and also the information systems. When we have the possibility to work with relational databases, you can create virtual enterprises, virtual territories, virtual life, and you can manage the changing the real and adapting the virtual, or changing the virtual and adapting the real thing. So this is the metavision approach. It's with this metavision approach that I make my PhD and also my career to become full professor in this university. And after, I go to apply these ideas in different works in the Portuguese government, in the Portuguese Parliament, in the European Parliament, in some European tasks like the coordination of Lisbon strategy and so on. During the 21st century, as it's wrote in the presentation, navigating an era of technological acceleration, mirror rooms, disruption, and multilateral challenges, engaging my academic and political landscapes in fields of digital, energy, and development. So, in the last 2 weeks, we all live another experience that could change these 2 experiences, is the election of Donald Tusk. Of Donald Trump, not Tusk. This election, I don't know if there are any in the room from Poland, but it's not Donald Tusk, it's Donald Trump. The election of Donald Trump could change all the ideas you have to look the world, but we will see. And it's with this experience that I will try to address the central question. Digital and energy disruption and innovation, fear or hope for regional development in Europe and Alentejo. I will try to make the way of hope. And now, next is, I need the support of, this mouse is very, I think, okay. So, following the path of hope, we need to, I think it's a very simple formula, but it's absolutely important to understand the world and to understand our challenges to change. All is energy working with information, and information working with energy. And energy and information create data, more data and more data. Now you have hungry of 8 data and more data, but data only have a meaning when we had a pattern, something about community experience, something about ideology something about identity. And so information, it's what happens when we give meaning to data. But information, it's a lot of time something that not have value. It depends about of the use we make with that. And we need only propose, vision, wisdom, power, order, and so on, give to information, knowledge, or value. To build a knowledge chain for innovation at a global, a regional, a local level, what you want? We need data. Yes, we need data, and good data, if possible. You need information, and information, not disinformation, if possible. We need knowledge. Knowledge is absolutely crucial to add value, and so on. But values and propose are the true game changers, because all the other things work or not work in function of propose and values. So, following in the path of hope, I will speak very, very quickly about the European Union path during the last decade. I was in this decade member of the European Parliament. I worked directly with that, the digital and decarbonization decade. And you know, out of the European Union has a lot of lack of investment, mostly when we compare with the United States, China, and so on. You have so many boards that you can see that, this difference. The conceptual approach of the European Union make a very significant bet in two ideas. The Green Deal, and all of you knows what is the Green Deal, and this is my name that I put to the digital decade, the data deal. The data deal is the capability to change data from citizens to services to citizens to development to regions and so on. And the European Union aims to exercise, I don't know if it's enough today, as you know, with all the questions to reinforce our investment in defense and safety and to have the 2% in NATO budget and so on. But we try to exercise our soft power by leadership, by promoting regulation centered of a human-centric approach. This is the big difference. The big difference today, when we compare Europe with China, Africa, and so on, is not with Africa is not perhaps the best example, but is not the political model, because there are a lot of political models, and also a lot of no democratic models, even in the European Union. Really democratic models working is not the aim of the investment in engineering, is not the investment in research, no. Is only the main difference is our approach, the human-centered approach, human-centric approach. And we try to obtain some advantage with this conceptual leadership. Legislation founded on values and aimed in defining the preventing systemic risks, seek to establish itself a global standard. We talk a lot of times about the Brussels effect. And this Brussels effect, till 2 weeks ago, I don't know now in the future, with Elon Musk and so on, deregulating all the big investors in the big six and so on, was trying to deregulate all, but till 2 weeks again, yes, this Brussels effect has seen a degree of success in the endeavor. And global companies have been encouraged to operate in the European Union as if they were European entities. This is most important. In the past, till 2 weeks, and in the future, I hope, more important than to know if Google is American or European Union, is Google to act in Europe as an European company. This is absolutely critical in our regions also. And this inspiration has shaped the regulation in the digital package and the investment research developing on a digital Europe program. I was the shadow rapporteur of this digital Europe program representing my political group. It's not important to know, it's S&D, but and you know, data production and protection, cyber security act, digital identity, digital markets. I was the rapporteur, the European Parliament of DMEA, the Digital Market Act, and also the AI Act, so important now, and the first global approach in regulation in the world now. Also Japan, also mostly United Kingdom and so on are working very hard, but the first global approach it's made by European Union. And in the other perspective, in the energy package, because we are talking about decarbonization and also digitalization, the investments in research and development under the Green Deal agenda, addressing the energy market design, the energy union governance. I was the rapporteur of that file, the renewable energy rapporteur in the European Parliament. You know that the European Parliament, after the Council, after the trilogue with the Commission, after, okay, it's like that the decision process in Europe works. The Renewable Energy Directive, the Energy Efficiency Directive, the EU emissions trading system, and also this very important mechanism that will make a lot of difference if applied is the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, the CBAM. I was also the rapporteur of CBAM, and this is a very challenging mechanism because it's very difficult to apply that with some countries that is less developed, want to export now, but you want also to give them the capability to add value in our territories. And this is valid too when we think in Africa, Latin America, and Europe is also valid when we think in some regions in Europe and other regions in Europe. Something like the CBAM, a mechanism of compensation. We need to have something of a mechanism of compensation. And the critical challenge lies in achieving alignment between all the legislative agendas, the 2030 horizon and the RRF resources, and a lack of new financial resources, especially when we compare with the other global competitors. But there are another problem in the European Union, in our countries, our regions, is the strong bureaucratic bottlenecks. And in the last 2 years of my mandate in the European Parliament, I begin with a lot of my colleagues from different groups working less in trying more money, because you understand that a lot of money is virtual money, it's same money to all the same programs, but also really to try to have more competitiveness, reducing the bureaucratic bottleneck, because it's too strong and too difficult for our work. So I can to speak very quickly about 7 challenges about European innovation. Innovation is the challenge, but also 7 challenges about regional innovation. About European innovation, I think the first question is to try to push, and it's the European Union that could have, if you want to have some hope in the future, and it's not easy in these times, we need to push to an intelligent globalization. What that means is to lead, and you are in the COP in Azerbaijan, is not very good news from there, but you need to try to develop an ethical and sustainable language models, yes, using AI, to foster a human spiral grounded in the Sustainable Development Goals and in human development criteria. My experience teach me that human development criteria is the best criteria to put all the to have the possibility to put all the world together. Because when we talk about human rights, okay, I prefer human rights. I prefer freedom of expression. Yes, I prefer. There are also human development criteria. But human development is something that you can manage. You can manage with the other big powers in the world. I tried to do that. I was the co-president of the second bigger Parliament Assembly, joint parliamentary assembly in the world with 106 countries, the European Union, ACP, joint parliamentary assembly, 2 billion people, 106 countries, 4 continents. It's a very interesting experience. And I learned that if I want to have something to speak and to achieve, compromises about human development criteria, about sustainable development goals, and why not? With an ethical language. An ethical language. We need digital literacy. And I think that digital access, use, and understanding digital tools must be recognized as universal rights. This approach is fundamental to make each human being, I know that is an utopia, but each human being a gatekeeper of the truth, a gatekeeper of the correct information. I write here the paradox of Alentejo. Alentejo is a poet, popular poet, Portuguese popular poet, and have a small poem in Portuguese that is absolutely extraordinary. It says, a mentira, para ser segura e atingir profundidade, tem que trazer à mistura qualquer coisa de verdade. E o que é extraordinário, pensem nisto, qual é a percentagem, já passo em inglês, qual é a percentagem de, I will try to do a little the same in English. It's not a poem, in English it's not, this is a poem with rhymes and so. It's rhymes you say in English, I don't know. But qual é a percentagem de mentira que uma verdade pode ter? Ou qual é a percentagem de verdade, o mínimo de verdade que uma mentira pode ter? E quem é que distingue entre a mentira e a verdade? Essa é uma incapacidade dos próprios modelos de linguagem. Isso é literacia digital. Isso é a nossa capacidade como gatekeepers, como guardiões. É o nosso cérebro. It's our brain. So, in English, the poem is not a poem. It's the lie to be secure. And his depth must bring into the mix a touch of trust. Who decides how much trust we need to have a lie? How much lie we need to have a truth? Who make the decision between truth and lie, which is only ourselves could be the gatekeepers of the future. And you need digital literacy for that, as a universal right. Combating disinformation. Focus on creating generative vectors to eradicate the pandemic of disinformation, addressing the concept of group contagion. I think it's very interesting. If you want to work on that, please, because if you are able in the COVID to develop mRNA, so to create group contagion with vaccines, we need to make the same with disinformation. You need to create ADN against disinformation. You need to create global contagion, group contagion against disinformation. And you need also to take advantage from the concept of blockchain. And all together, you can create a blockchain approach to create added value for individuals and communities. With digital research networks is what is this project also. Is what you are doing in this network. Is the knowledge chain for regional development. We need to, I talked before, to develop a data deal, establish an exchange of verified data through accessible public services, because data in China is from the state, is from the government. Data in the United States is from the market, but data legally in Europe is from each of us. So if you give our data, it's a very interesting discussion you could have. For instance, you have in the SCA, in the MEA, and so on. If you give our data, you need to receive something in exchange, and could be better services. You need to be informed about that. Green Deal, and you know, but the Green Deal, I think it's very important to improve the capillarity systems that integrate various technologies to enhance sustainability, and also the digital governance. I think it's important to give another perspective to the United Nations, to create perhaps a new UN global agency, such as Digital Security Council, to address emerging challenges in digital governance. I think it's absolutely critical. And to speak a little about regional issues, sorry, how many time? I used 20 minutes, more 10 or less. First, you know that it's more Germany and Italy that are very now with a lot of questions about the European strategy to be autonomous itself and so on, but yeah, and also to the support of Ukraine, but it's another issues. But Italy, in the conceptual point of view, also Portugal and other countries are here, but two very important former Italian prime ministers produced two very important documents. Letta, as you know, Enrico Letta proposed the roadmap to research and to implement the fifth liberty, to establish a single market dedicated to research, innovation, and development. A single market means really to link directly the regions, to link directly the proximity networks. The single market is open. It's open to all the levels, and create a strong European network, stronger than the political network, because the political network at this time is a little weak. And to adopt the 180 degrees move, not 360 as you usually say, because it's to return to the same place. No? The 180 move, streamline process with clear rules, approve first, monitor later, to counteract the bureaucratic burdens that hinder humanistic policies such as cohesion, humanitarian aid, sustainable development. We need to have the courage to do that. Now, with some tools to monitor, to fiscalize, you need to have the capability to decide the way and approve first, fiscalize after, and take the decisions after the fiscalization. But it's absolutely critical. Promote viable cells decimation strategy. I think it's very important not to, I don't know to say that in English, but usually people say, oh, give money in the past. When I was also in last century the coordinator of the biggest program of development here in Alentejo. The name is Pro Alentejo, and then you have 2,500 million euros to invest here. We make a lot of things, the big dam of Alqueva and other things we make with this money. But sometimes people say, don't care to put money in Alentejo, because the money comes to Alentejo and go quickly to the near the sea, quickly to Germany. They returns quickly. They have no capability to absorb. So we need to create viable cells that is not a transversal approach, it's programs, critical investments, and after duplicate, like the cell duplication. Sometimes they create cancers, but also create life. So duplication of viable cells and health cells, I think. And balance competitiveness and cohesion, a faster integration through multi-level approach to geopolitics, and aligning federalist principles with regional development. I think also that when we look to the future of the regional funds, we don't know yet if how will be the integration, for instance, of Ukraine in the European Union, and this is a game changer also. But people speak about the verticalization. We need to have this verticalization with territorial roots to prioritize local engagement in advancing European priorities. Okay, what that means is not to give money to regions and make what you want, is to choose the big vision and the big projects to Europe, but to have a local approach and to have this verticalization with territorial roots. I think we need to try to achieve that. I think that is also very important now when some enterprises in AI and so on are recovering the whole nuclear fabrics and so on. I think it's very important to understand that distributed models are the models that put people working together and put empower people in development of these regions. And so I think I advocate for a distributed energy model. Enable empowerment through energy capillarity at all levels. Data, capillarity, data development, capillarity development, and also energy capillarity. And advanced digital literacy is the same also, and AURORAL is for that also in the regions, to empower individuals to become active protagonists of change in digital era. So, my friends, I think that I follow the AURORAL project from this real beginning. I remember the day that someone informed me that it's approved. It's a very happy day for me. In the past, in this program, I told you, Pro Alentejo, we developed also in the 90s, 97, I think, the last century, the digital Alentejo. At this time, I have no time to describe you this program, but when we put in work the digital Alentejo, there are no digital cities, digital regions. It's the first time this concept is applied. This is the Alentejo Digital. Now you have AURORAL as part of this puzzle of an Alentejo, a digital Alentejo. So, European innovation for smart communities. Smart approach with interoperability means shared delivery of smart solutions. We need to do that, to have this capability, not all to try to invent the wheel, but to combine our efforts in a network, in a path of hope, trying to lead the human-centric approach, more human development, more AP people, more decent world, smart solutions, beneficial for people, co-created. The co-creation approach, I have no time to speak about that, but it's what I try to make with all the cooperation with Global Gateway and so on when I work in the European Parliament and in this big Joint Parliamentary Assembly, co-creation and share. I don't know in English, okay. Good for people, yes, good for people. Co-created, empowerment, shared. Okay. In the upcoming panels, I hope to see this approach successfully implemented at the regional level, providing that the path of hope can succeed. Okay. And life is a very interesting thing, mostly to challenge the problems and to solve them. Thank you very much.
Good morning again. I'd like to thank Professor Zorrinho for the brilliant presentation and for taking some points and challenges for the future that the region and Europe must undertake to develop innovation and to create a better environment for social and economic development. I believe these are good options for the future. I'd also like to thank the previous speakers, so Carmen, the Dean of the University, Professor Herminia, and we will start again now in a different panel. Okay? Let me just take my notes. This is always a strange feeling when we are behind a wooden stuff here and breaks a little bit of our relation with the audience. But it is what it is in this stage. It will be a challenge also. So now with me, and I would like to call my fellow partners in this panel to talk about innovation at European level. So Martin Majek, it's the project officer from the European Commission that will be with us online. I'll have to make some changes on screen to make him part of this session. Then Afonso Duarte, that I thank for being here today, from ANI, specialized and trusted guide to the European research. So it is a challenge and an opportunity to have someone with your experience here in this panel to share with us the vision of ANI and to take on the opportunities that we have to embrace innovation at European level, but also in the regions that are involved in the AURORAL project, which is a rural regions project, and where we need to really boost innovation. So as you have on your profile, if Martas are willing to find knowledge about opportunities at European level in innovation, in digital, also in aerospace, please. This is our guy for today. Then Paulo Val from Agência para a Modernização Administrativa, so a modernization agency in Portugal responsible for taking care of modernization of state, but also leader at the Digital Innovation Hub that focus on AI for public administration in Portugal. So with the responsibility to boost innovation using new technologies like artificial intelligence to improve the response from our public administration and use data to make better decisions. So please, both of us, if you join me on stage. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning.
So nice to have you. Unfortunately, it was impossible for Martin to come to Évora. Maybe in another opportunity, because it's always great both to have you with us in person and also to visit the region. Martin, it's sad that you could not come. From all the partners that I've been talking since yesterday, they are wondered by the sun and by the magnificent weather that we have now in Portugal, as opposite to some of the cold that is in the northern countries. So it has been a good trip. So we hope that next time you can join us in Évora.
Yeah, I would be pleased, but luckily we have also some sun in Brussels today too, so it's not that bad at the end.
Good. Okay. So, taking on a small consideration that I will make prior to having the speakers in this panel. I'm a technology guy. me and Christoph, we coordinate AURORAL nowadays. So it's a challenge for us, and I always forget the mic, to do. Christoph is nowadays the coordinator of the project, as you all know, and he will be explaining better because he has a deep knowledge on AURORAL. So this is my responsibility, but as a technology guy, there is a big discussion on if technology is a driver or just a tool. I'm not sure how many of you think that technology is a driver. How many of you think technology is only a tool? Okay. Well, I don't agree with Professor Zorrinho that raised the hand. I believe technology and artificial intelligence, actually it's a proof of that, is a accelerated driver for human innovation. Yes, that's true. But for me, it drives changes very fast. So, of course, technology used by humans. This is a strong topic. So, I believe that AURORAL technology is changing things in regions, and it's changing how we connect applications, how we connect data, how we connect stakeholders in each of the regions. So what AURORAL is doing is actually very, very important for the rural regions and integrates them in a digital ecosystem. To bridge what? To bridge the digital gap. Because we need to have communities of stakeholders, communities of opportunities from entrepreneurs, from startups to get together, and you'll see afterwards opportunities for funding, how we can in AURORAL bring together opportunities for new technologies, for innovation, and also funding opportunities. So FEBER, Unparalleled, they're all building up communities of funding, communities of technologies, bringing them together. It's not an easy task, but we are trying to do it and to bring together several communities to do this. So I believe, even though AURORAL is reaching the end, Smart Tomorrow can be the next step for AURORAL and for the communities. This, together with the initiatives that the Commission and several other innovation projects are undertaking, we hope that regions throughout Europe can further develop technology, further develop innovation to respond to the human needs and to make sure that we have economic and social development in Europe. So to start, Martin, I know you have nowadays a big challenge, lots of changes in the Commission. So talk us about AI agency, talk us about your building up of innovation projects, talk us about AURORAL, of course.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you for having me, first of all, and my warm greetings to everyone. And I'm really sorry that I couldn't come for internal reasons, basically. Yeah, we face a lot of changes in here. As you know, my unit, which originally dealt with communities and technology for communities, so cities and regions, was implemented in the newly established European AI office, which is now getting, speeding up its activities, and we are actually facing many developments. One of them I would like to highlight is the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium, so EDIC, or Network Local Digital Twins, quite complicated name, and even to Cityverse. This I would like to highlight maybe even more, because a few years ago it looked like far future, but now it's getting through this Cityverse, so metaverse for citizens, with various projects. We are just starting as we speak. We are finishing a new set of grant agreements call, and I warmly invite you to apply for the next call and be part of it, because this is one way how you can join and continue your work through Digital Europe program. But main vehicle or main flagship from in our field, which we see for continuing your efforts, is this mentioned EDIC, which was unfortunately we had to delay the launch, as you know, because of the disaster in Valencia. But as far I know, it will be started yet in December. So the operations will start very soon, and this will become a main port for many uh, local digital twins related activities. And we are also currently in the process of procurement of so-called local digital twins toolbox, which will be part of this later, which will be handed over to EDIC. So the EDIC will become the place for integration of various activities. And I again recommend you, either as a region or city or through government, to become a member of EDIC and join its activities, because there will be a specific calls in depth for for EDIC activities, and basically this is the our vision for this field. I mean, this is the key development of the recent months, I would say.
Okay, Martin, when you talk about the ethics, and I'm not sure everyone knows the Commission strategy for the ethics, but it is a way of the Commission to try to make sure that there is some future for relevant projects throughout Europe, and make sure that they are not only dependent on the Horizon Europe funding, but they can pursue long-term strategies for innovation. Is this correct?
Exactly. Yes, I saw in one of the preceding presentations that you mentioned digital decade. So this is very much product or instrument of digital decade, and the way how member states can come together and to mobilize investments, mobilize finances to finance developments in this field. And what is very special for our project, for our EDIC, so local digital twin EDIC, is that also regions and cities can become members, which gives them also voting rights, and this is different from the other EDICs we have in different fields in the Commission, and which are starting by one. So therefore, I see it as a more democratic and more closer to people. I think that was very good decision, that it's bringing the instrument closer to you. So it's not only national ministries which have say, but also I mean, people from regions, the ones who really implement the solutions on the spot. So I think this could help for development of this project.
Okay, and an important message. And we are here talking about every day about AI, and it's a new agency. So tell us a little bit about the focus on AI.
Well, it's a new agency formally, but in fact, it's, if I can say it that way, just one of the directorates under the DG Connect. So, General Directorate for Informatics, Information Society, right? So we remain in the Commission structures, although we have this new brand of European AI Office, and it integrates all activities which are AI related. My unit, for instance, is branded as AI for societal good. So we also have
And there's one last question to you before I pass on to the other speakers. AURORAL, a long projects, lots of opportunities, lots of interesting deliverables impacted in the regions that are involved. How do you feel AURORAL can proceed to the future and embrace innovation in the regions, especially in the rural regions in Europe?
Yeah, as I can follow the project, I think you have all the best outlooks to deliver a change, and I see overall as a very successful project. And even despite the challenges you face, like in the change of the project management, which I think with support all of the project partners, but especially I would highlight the role of Carmen, Rui, and Christoph in this transition, because it was a challenging period. But I think we managed and we succeeded to maintain the project on the right track toward a successful delivery. So I have no doubt that there will be very successful final review next year, and we will see follow up of this project. So either through exploitation in different regions, or maybe some use of these outcomes in other projects, or even especially I would like to see your cooperation with Eddie in the future, which I think would be very well placed. So I have no doubt this project will be success, and I can say it's not only my perception, but also inside this house, it's perceived as one of successful projects which deliver very well in the area, and was always well organized, and we managed to overcome hurdles, and now we, I think, can look forward for the successful end of the project.
Thank you very much, Martin. I will pass now to Afonso Duarte, National Contact Point for Digital in ANI, the National Agency for Innovation. And Martin, of course, I invite you to stay, because in the end, I have some further questions to you. Thank you.
So first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to come to these meetings organized by European projects that are close to the community, and it's great to see an amphitheater full of people from the researchers working in this project. And it's a project that's almost finishing, but it's really good to see the evolution that's going on in the last years and what has been going on. So my name is Afonso Duarte. I come from the National Agency for Innovation. I work in a specific area within the agency that is related with European projects, and I will explain in a while what we are doing and how can we help you, and how our colleagues in Europe can help you, projects like this and researchers like you. Right. So now it's okay? Okay, perfect. So starting from when we speak about European projects, and I always like to start with this slide, and this is a slide that Professor Zorrinho already spoke a while ago on the digital decade, and this is a digital decade compass. So this compass basically supports the strategy that the European Commission designed some time ago on what are the key points, what are the key strategy points to develop until 2030 in the digital area. And what you can see, and I'm not going into the detail, we can further on discuss, you have skills, you have infrastructures, business, and government. So the idea is really to have a transversal strategy that will touch all of these areas. And this means that you're going to have efforts for small and medium enterprises, startups, universities, regional governments, mayor houses, cities. You have all the players involved, all the actors involved to deliver new technology and new technology that is accessible to all, that can have impact at the end of the projects. Now, when we think about strategy, you need also to think about the tools that you're going to use to implement those strategies. And this is what is depicted in this slide. I know it's a bit busy slide, but on the left side you have the strategy and how to achieve this strategy. You have more or less, we were counting this with the Commission the other day, you have more or less 20 tools or 20 programs at EU level that will support the digital decades. I'm here just summing up 3 of them. Those are the most important, and probably within the project that we are speaking today, it's the ones that you can search for funding and see if there is interesting initiatives inside. I'll speak more about Horizon Europe. That's the one on the right side. This is a program focused on research and development. It's the follow-up of Horizon 2020. You also have on the top the Digital Europe that the previous speakers already indicated and talked about it. This is a digital program focused on implementation and deployment, not so much on research, but more on the deployment of new solutions. And you have here on the bottom left the Connecting Europe Facility, or CEF. This is really related with the very large and big infrastructures at EU level, like submarine cables, 6G, 5G, that will really be close to the community and will be developed by the big industries. So what is our role at ANI and what we do? And this was one of the main questions. So at EU level, and this is the work we do with the European Commission and supporting the communities. We have 2 roles. We have the role of national contact point. And as a national contact point, what we do is basically we bring the information from the Commission, we bring the information of the calls of the strategy that are available for all the community, and we bring it to the community. So we can do actions like this, like I'm chatting with you today. We can also do one-to-one meetings to explain what are the opportunities, so we can help you identify the opportunities that are open at the moment and the future ones. We can help you build up your proposal, your idea, create your consortium. We will not be able to write the proposal with you because we are not many. We are certainly like 30 people, but to cover the entire country, it's not possible. And we can help you check your proposal. So some of us had the background of researchers. I was a researcher for 20 years. So we have this background of reading the proposals, and we can support you on identifying issues that your proposal might have when aligned with the requests from the Commission. So we can do this kind of role of the bad lawyer, let's say, that is going to read your proposal and help you to improve it. And of course, then we have all the support for the legal and financial issues while you are submitting your proposal, and as well while you are running your project. So if you are running your project and if you can end up with a financial issue that you want to discuss, how can you solve it, you can come to us that we can help you. Now, this is our hat as national contact point. We have a second hat, and this is national delegates. So as a national delegate, we normally say that we have one feet in Portugal, another one in Brussels. This is because what we are doing now, and we are very active at the moment doing this, we discuss with the Commission as national representatives the calls that will come up in the future. So now, just to give you an example, in the digital sector, we are now discussing the work program for the next year and for the next 2 years in the digital area. And this is still documents that are still confidential. They are not distributed, but it's something that we are discussing with the community. So we can help the national community do a positive lobby in the European Commission, and our act is exactly like that. So we can make this bridge between what is decided and will open in the future by the Commission and what the national organization or what the national organizations want. So, because this is an international auditorium and not just speaking for the Portuguese, so this is what ANI does. Of course, in any of your countries, as member states or associated countries, you also have the figure of national contact points of associated partners, so you can go to the funding alternatives and you find your contacts there. I can show you how to do it later in the break if you want. So, when we speak about Horizon Europe, and this is something, it is important to think how hard it is to go to Horizon Europe, what are the challenges? This is always a big question. It's far away, it's Europe, and it's how can we, is it worth? And I always like to show some numbers, and I'm showing this number just to Horizon Europe, so it started in 2021, so we have 4 years of execution at the moment, more or less in the half. So what we have at the moment, these are numbers from yesterday, the database from the Commission. You have a success rate of 17.9 at EU level, or all Horizon Europe. Portugal is at the moment 18.3, so a little bit above the average. But if we look just at organizations that are applying to Horizon Europe from Alentejo region, so the region where we are now, we have 18.8. Of course, the numbers of applicants are lower, that makes sense, but the success rate is very good. So it shows that we are... sorry, so success rate is the percentage of people that apply and got the proposal. So it's really, if 100 people applied, 18.8 got it. This is the number. So this shows that actually it's a competitive calls. However, Portugal and the Alentejo region organizations do play a role and they have a success rate. And now an interesting table. This is probably in the back you cannot see it, but if you start from the right, you have 1995, and here, so the FP4, so the first framework program, so a long time ago, and these are the number of contracts signed by organizations in the Alentejo region. So this is really a project that started. And what you see is that you see an increase from the first FP4 until Horizon Europe, now here in dark purple, the first 3 years. And what you see is that there really an exponential, almost exponential participation of the Alentejo region with success. And in terms of numbers, the budget that we are speaking, in FP7, the light blue, you have some 7 million. Horizon 2020, you have 30 million. So it really was a jump in terms of funding that was captured. And now in just 3 years, 4 years of Horizon Europe, you almost have the 30 million. So in 4 years, you almost reached the same thing that in the previous 7 years. So this is very good because it shows that organizations are competitive and they are able to go and participate. So, and I know this audience probably you're already aware of this. So we have Horizon Europe divided in 4 main pillars. Here we are focused on Pillar 2. These are the global challenges and competitiveness of industry. These are really top-down calls. This means that the Commission decided what are the main areas and the bottlenecks that we need to dwell in terms of research and development. We are speaking here of Cluster 4, the digital industry and space. That's where we work. And these projects are projects that you always need to, like the overall project, you have usually from 3 to 4 years. You have a minimum of 3 partners from 3 different organizations from 3 different countries. Typically more than 2 million, you can have projects, and nowadays the project size are actually increasing, so you have projects that go to 20 million, 25 million. You can see that in the digital sector. And you really have a very strong emphasis in impact. So of course, there is excellence, there is the implementation, but the impact is a key word in this kind of project. So the Commission really wants you to bring the results to the market or to the communities or to the users. You really need to show this, how your community is going to be impacted. As I told you, this Pillar 2 is a strategic pillar, so the Commission decided the main areas. Besides the normal work program that you see as a PDF that you can browse all the areas, there is one area one mechanism that is very important, and those are the partnerships. And I know this is a very busy slide, but you can have the slides later on and you can dwell into it. And you can see the middle Cluster 4. So these are the number. We have 54, if I'm not mistaken, partnerships. So this means that partnerships are really strategic areas in the digital sector, in the health sector, that are going to fund specific projects in that specific area. I'm going to give you an example of Cluster 4. So in Cluster 4, you have the work program. You can download the PDF online. But then you have other partnerships, and you have the Chip Joint Undertaking. This is a partnership just for semiconductors. You have the photonics, AUROHPC, and we were just talking about the supercomputers a while ago. So if you are interested in using supercomputing at EU level, you can find funding in the AUROHPC partnership. You have the SNS, which is smart networks. Also interesting when you think about smart cities and rural areas. The smart networks partnership also has some calls that are interested and more focused on the telecommunication part. You have a partnership dedicated to artificial intelligence. that is very connected with the industry, the European industry on artificial intelligence, robotics, and data. So, and this is something that you can then afterwards identify different calls, and this is being prepared at the moment. And then you have a new partnership that will start next year. That's a partnership in virtual worlds. So thinking about how can virtual reality, augmented reality, and metaverse can influence the future of work and the literacy, and how can we interact with the computer in a different way. So these are mechanisms that the Commission is now setting up. We are at the moment discussing this, and the idea is that around April, May, the new work programs will come out, so you will have the publicly available these topics that you can apply. At the moment, we are a little bit in a period where we don't have many calls open, especially for the digital area, and this again in the area of Horizon Europe. Tools, and what are the tricks that we normally like to tell you to do? So on the left side, first of all, go through the documents, check the documents. If you think, okay, I don't have time to go to the documents, speak with your national contact point or either your office in your university. We are always ready to have a chat. Even a video conference sometimes of 10 minutes can help you to guide you through all this documentation, and we know it's a lot of documentation. Brainstorm with your colleagues. You never know if somebody from the next office or the next university close to you is already thinking on something to apply for a call. So it's always nice to discuss and identify new consortiums. And of course, you are here in a consortium, so this is the perfect spot to start brainstorming about different ideas that you might have on specific topics, on specific ideas. On the right side, I'm just indicating some tools, online tools. The first one is the National Group for Discussion of the Framework Program. So this is only for Portuguese, for people working in Portuguese organizations. But this is a tool that we have at national level to discuss the framework program and interact with the community that you can register. Then, of course, you have all the brokerage events, all the info days the Commission is going to prepare. And because now the new work programs are coming out at the beginning of next year, I'm sure that new brokerage events will be launched at national and at EU level, so it's always a good way to find new opportunities and new networks. And of course, then you have all the other tools that typically other projects have, so you can use them to search new ideas and new partners. And just at the end, I will leave you with a slide with all our context. So this is part of the team at ANI. We are more or less 20 people working in these projects. Feel free to drop us a line if you cannot find a colleague from your country. Just drop us a line and we can place you in contact in the different areas. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, without further delay, Paul Wall from the Innovation Hub, Artificial Intelligence for Public Administration.
Sorry, I'm not really used to working with Windows, so I have a little difficult here, but yeah, I think I got it. Okay, so good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here today and having this opportunity to talk to you about AI for PA, Portugal Digital Innovation Hub, and how we are driving the digital transition of public administration with the power of AI and data science. Yes, I work for the Administrative Modernization Agency, and I'm leading this project. think the okay, the mouse is there. Step for the side. So AI for PA stands for Artificial Intelligence and Data Science for Public Administration. This is a digital innovation hub. It is also a European initiative. You will find like more than 200 digital innovation hubs at European level. So what I'm going to talk here today, maybe you can, if you are from other countries than Portugal, you will find similar organizations in your country. So maybe you got some ideas to speak with them and maybe follow some opportunities. But going back to the beginning and trying to understand what is a digital innovation hub, I will say in this simple way, it's like a one-stop shop for services, technologies, and bringing academic and technology acknowledgement, and also bringing the experience of the public sector and the private sector. So there are several consortiums that were built on these goals that we have here. And as I said before, this is really spread all over Europe. In specific, when I speak about this hub that I'm coordinating, our objective is the digital transformation on public administration. And there are different goals for the other hubs. So there are hubs working only with private sector and also hubs working different technologies. So our hub is focused really on public administration and using artificial intelligence and data science for providing some easy path for the public administration going forward with the digital transition. So just a quick slide on the partners of this consortium. Of course, this says nothing for you if you are not Portuguese, but we have here representatives from the universities, representatives from the private sector, companies with specific knowledges that they bring to this hub. We have locations. We have also representatives from the public administration at the different levels, at national level, at regional level, at local level. So this brings us the knowledge and the needs of these kind of institutions and the way that we need to work to address their issues. So, yeah, moving forward. As I said, this is a network, and we are supposed to work as a network. So in Portugal, we have this Portugal Digital Innovation Hubs network is comprised by 17 digital innovation hubs. And also, we are part of the European Digital Innovation Hubs, as I said before, more than 200 spread by 30 countries, if I'm not mistaken. And the funny thing here, it's not funny, but it's really useful, it's that we are supposed to work as a network. Meaning that if you approach a specific hub with a specific challenge, and if this hub doesn't have all the capabilities to answer to your quest, so we can work as a network and talk with different hubs and bring the knowledge and the capabilities that you need to fulfill your projects. So this could be very useful for you. So if you approach one of these hubs, you can reach all the network. And this is really good if you really don't know where to start. So maybe you are just in the beginning of your digital transition, you really don't know what you have to do. So you can approach these hubs and maybe get some strategy, a roadmap for digital transition. On the other hand, you may be a more mature institution and you have a different challenge that requires high level of technology, artificial intelligence, and other cutting-edge technologies. These hubs could help you also to fulfill your needs and to advance with your project. So we can work with different maturity levels, and this is really good, in my opinion. So specifically now, speaking about the I4PA Portugal Digital Innovation Hub, we are really working for the public administration, as I said, at these three levels. We we are also trying to intervene in the SME offering of solutions to the public sector. For us, it is important for these companies that try to develop solutions to work with public sector. Yeah, the slides are not moving. Yeah, you can see that. Maybe I could go back and forward. You lost the internet, okay. So, yeah, but maybe I can continue, and if you just not make too much pressure on your side. So, as I was saying, when I was explaining the reason why we exist, that we are serving public administration, but public administration doesn't live with the public sector that develops solutions to be used at this level. And for us, it is important to work with all this ecosystem of course, the public organizations, but also this private sector that is developing these solutions, because at least at national level, we have developed some strategies that include using what we call the building blocks that we have at national level, like electronic identification, electronic signature, or interoperability platform, or the platform for the payments, and so on. And for us, it is important that this private sector, when serving the public sector, that include these kind of solutions in their own solution, not building a different one to be used by the public sector. For us, it's really important to have this unified version of solutions that will be beneficial to not only for the public sector, but also for the citizens. In the end of the day, it's for them that we are working. And just to finish this slide that you are not seeing, but it's not that great, so it's okay. We also serve the local populations, because a big part of our activity is really on smart cities. We have some partners that are really strong, capable on this area, and we are developing several frameworks to be used at local level. And of course, in the end, like in the previous solutions that I was speaking about, the citizen will be the one that will be the one benefiting for these kind of solutions. So it's really difficult, yeah.
Sorry. Looks like it's only this one that lost.
That one is. It's funny because we can see the image there. So. Okay. Is that?
Nuno, consegues pôr o que está no ecrã, no segundo ecrã ali?
Tranquilo, consigo andar para trás, não é? Ok. So, trying to move forward, and sorry for this difficulty. So, we are really trying to make an impact, and I will just talk about 3 of these kind of impacts. So the first one is based on the solutions. So we are trying to enhance these public policies across all governmental areas, trying to make solutions available, and trying to have small pilots that can be scaled afterwards. And the second impact is on skills. We are trying to build specific capacity programs to address the issues that are faced by the public sector and the public servants. And the third impact is on strategies, because we in fact know, because we know how the Portuguese administration is organized, but I think it's similar to other countries. There are different levels of maturity, and there are several institutions that don't really have a plan for the digital world. So of course, they have initiatives, but they are isolated. So they are not part of a strategy. And for us, it is important to have this digital roadmap. And also, we are the ones, I think, that can help these institutions to make this kind of roadmap. And how do we do this? In fact, we have 5 key focus areas that basically it's our service catalog is divided in 5 areas. Of course, I will not go in deep on the service catalog, but just talk a little bit about these 5 categories, but that they are very similar to other different digital innovation hubs. The first one is the testing before investing. So this is really crucial for us. So instead of have this really big investment on front, we try to develop small testing pilots that once they prove they are really good for the institution, then they can be scaled to a final solution that addresses all the challenges. And just for the convenience of having some specific type of services that are delivered by the hub, it's not only these ones that I'm presenting in the screen, but you can see just to you to have an idea of the kind of services that we are trying to make available for public sector. So the second area is the skills and training, as I said before, and it's easy for us to have this small example. So even when some institution doesn't really use some kind, let's say, generative AI on their activities, even if the institution doesn't use it, the public servant is always using day by day this kind of applications. And for us, it's really crucial for everyone using this kind of technologies to be aware of the risks of using this kind of technologies and what kind of information we can put on these public applications and what is going on with the data that we share in this app. So even this basic knowledge is important for the everyday job of any public servant. But on this kind of activity, we also build this specific capacity programs that are based on AI and data science, and these are drawn in terms of the needs of the institution. So it's not like open courses that are equal to everyone. They are designed to be applied to a specific institution. And the third is the digital transformation strategies. I speak a little bit about this before. So this is all about having a strategy to move forward, having this digital roadmap that not everyone has. Just give you some examples of services that are delivered here. So from the digital maturity assessment to digital transformation using AI roadmaps and other different services. The fourth, and I'm just finishing, so the innovation ecosystem. So here we are helping organizations to enter consortiums and to not go alone to address these challenges that most of the times are the same that some other institutions right by your side. So we are working on this innovation ecosystem and networking. Just to give you some examples, we do business consultancy for startups, and we have internationalization strategies, and we are supporting innovative product pilots, just to give you some examples. And finally, the last one, because the projects can't be really developed if we don't have the support and the investment that we were talking in the previous presentation. So in this kind of area, we are really working and as a funding advisor, we are always monitoring opportunities for funding, especially the ones that address AI. And we really help institutions to make the next step and go forward to have this kind of success rate when you are moving to this kind of funding. And just for finishing, this is our contacts. One important aspect here is that this project is funded by the resilience plan, of course, and this give us a really nice margin to have full, not 100% discount, but we can reach 60 to 70% discount on projects. So this is really good if you have some specific challenge that you need to address and that can be fulfilled by this specific digital hub or any hub in the network. And thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Well, internet took us some minutes. I had more or less 10 questions on my side, 5 to each one, but I won't do it, of course. But I would like to open to the audience if you have any questions to our speakers. Martin, Paulo, and Afonso, please raise your hands if you have any questions. So, no questions? No question. So I will do one question for each speaker. Paul, starting with the last one. How can SMEs engage and develop innovation solutions with the support of the Digital Innovation Hub that you lead?
Yeah, actually, thank you for that question, because that is something that we need to communicate a little bit more. It really depends on the kind of institution that we are talking here, because if you are really a startup and you have an idea, but you even don't have really the product, you just have the idea, you need to have some specific tools that can be delivered by our partners, and going for funding, developing pilots, testing this in specific institutions on the public administration, and this is a really big advantage if you have this kind of channel to test your product. On the other hand, if you are already a company, a small company, a medium company, we have been trying to have communication and workshops, and it would be nice if you as this kind of company could engage with us, because we are always trying to have these meetup points where we have on one side we have the public institutions, and the other side we have the private sector companies, and we do matchmaking sessions, and this could be really good to on one hand you have the necessities of these institutions, and on the other hand you have the solutions, and we can really do quick match on that, and that's the way you can help.
Okay, thank you. Afonso, regarding the strategy for that you presented, the digital decade, what would be a priority for new projects, since we are in a oral project, rural regions needing a boost on innovation to increase development, to bridge the gap from competitive regions to less developed regions. What would be in the digital one priority that you would recommend to the audience?
So I think that's a very interesting question. If I answer with my delegate hat, so more turn to the Commission, I would say the 4 axes of that compass there, but I would definitely point my finger on skills. So it is very important to see, with advances of technology nowadays, and AI is really a good example of that, that we have skills not just on the undergraduate students and students that are at school or universities, but also on the reskilling of the professionals that we have now. So people that with 30 years old now need to start thinking what they are going to be reskilling in 5 years, what tools they need to learn. Because somebody that started at 30 working in an industry or is working in industry needs to reskill so that they can adapt to the future industry that person is working. It's really changing a lot, and we see that in some of the projects that are coming out under Horizon Europe and a Digital Europe program, and the skills are really a key issue. And if I can combine the skills, the other factor, another actor is really bringing, and you start seeing European projects doing this already, is bringing the different communities together. And by this I mean, for example, the IT people with the social sciences people. And this is very important for skills. This is very important if you want to have a governance tool that works with people, for the people. You need to have this interaction between social sciences, that are people that are really studying how to interact more with people, with the citizens, and with the end user as a citizen. And this also brings, of course, and I could be speaking 1 hour from this, but and then the next would be, for example, the data protection and the ethics aspect, which are very important when we are speaking about artificial intelligence, all the issues that come from there.
Thank you. I see that as very interesting. Even though there is a remark I need to make, because some young people come to me and I believe that becoming an IT person, a programmer, a software developer is the right way. And sometimes forgetting what was their basic or previous training. People from humanities that want to be a programmer. And my speech just yesterday with someone was to, well, you cannot lose the knowledge you acquired from your previous profession or from your previous. So you need to use that and use technology to improve and to use that in a technology based way. So that's the thing. The reskilling needs to be focused on optimizing the resources that each one of us already has in their capabilities, whereas we'll lose some part of that knowledge. Martin, also the same question to you. If you would identify one priority and one action for some of these partners to develop next year, 2025, what would be the main priority that you would identify for new projects or for developing and continuity of this project, maybe in the EDIC or any other initiatives that you can identify?
Yes, thank you. That was on my predecessor. That was very good pick to the main skills, for instance. But as to highlight the role of AI. I mean, definitely any AI-enhanced solutions in Cityverse with other technological components like augmented reality, virtual reality. This is very much what we support through Cityverse call, which is under Digital Europe program. So not in the horizon, which is more on research, but in the deployment area of Digital Europe program. I would recommend you also to look for these opportunities upcoming in depth. But as I mentioned, EDIC will become one of the, independent entity which will be able to also apply for calls and form consortia either with members or even outside of the EU membership. So there might be also some interesting opportunities to join this kind of consortia, even though you maybe not decide to become EDIC member, or you can, I think, have some observer role, which also could be good. And you know that there is a space, I think, for opportunities, but definitely, and you will see that many, I think, new initiatives AI related in the Europe, either led by France or G7, or so there will be a lot in this, and I think it will come also with opportunities for projects, for grants. So that's from my side. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Martin. I'd like to thank you, Martin, for these beautiful presentations. I believe there are lots of opportunities for partners to work, even Portuguese or international partners, because opportunities are there. So without further delay, I would like to pass on to our next panel. Christoph, please join us and bring your speakers. And now we'll learn a lot more about AURORAL than we've been learning so far, but Christoph is now the project coordinator and will explain the framework of AURORAL, and you'll be delighted, I believe, with that presentation.
I just need to share it. I can share it. Okay. No, the other one. This one? Okay. Close it. This one is it. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Christoph Rittink, and I'm the coordinator for AURORAL from the starting of this year. So we will start with some hard facts about the project. Okay, I think that AURORAL is one of the last still running Horizon 2020 projects. We have 30 partners. We have 30 partners from 10 European countries, and we have a total budget of 60 million euros. 10% of this budget is reserved for open calls, and I'm also very proud that we have 22 accepted open call projects, and many of them are here today, and they will also present later. We have 8 pilot regions where we showcase our solutions and test everything out. We are working 5 main domains, more about this later, and we're currently in our last year. So, what is AURORAL about? So if you look at rural areas, especially compared to urban areas, then we lack in many ways. So the infrastructure is way worse. So public transport is worse, roads are worse, internet connection is worse. We have less schools, there are less doctors, less hospitals, and also there's less things to do in your free time. On the other side, you really need the rural areas. So our tummies get filled with food from the rural areas. If you want to relax, we go there because it's quieter. You can live there very comfortable because it's, yeah, I said it's quieter. It's not that much going on, so I really enjoy it there. And we want to help these rural areas. And how we are doing it is, so we are doing this by transforming these rural areas into smart communities. So if you look at it, we would like, so what we are doing is we really see that we have to work together. So we have to become communities, and this on two ways. So on in the real world, so we have to talk and work together, but we also have to share our data and technologies. So this is why we have created our middleware, which helps us with data sharing and service sharing, but my colleagues will talk more about this later. So I have the great pleasure of just showing you our, some of our results and our pilots and use cases and a few of our services. And if I show them to you, just keep in mind what we are trying to do here. So what we are trying to do is we would like to create services and give communities solutions to help them to create new business models. We want them to be able to preserve what they currently have, but we also want them to give an outlook to new things, and we also want them to help to tackle problems that they're currently facing that we can't do anything about in a short span. So yeah, let's start with the first domain, and this is smart farming. So in smart farming, we have one pilot in the beautiful region of Piedmont in Italy, and this is about precision livestock farming. So this is a dairy cattle farm, so it's about milk production, yogurt production, and what we have there is all the cows have an accelerometer around the neck, and this data with a lot of AI magic helps us to identify and monitor the health status of the cows and also the reproduction cycle. And this, together with sensors all over the dairy production plant, helps us to optimize the production and keep costs small. Also very interesting here is, this actually is another domain, that's smart energy, but this whole plant, as you see here, is covered in PV panels. So it's actually self-sufficient. And we also have here a prediction service that predicts via weather forecasts the solar power output, so you can optimize for the whole process and basically become self-sufficient and tackle all the costs. But what I really like most about this special pilot is that we have 26 farmers in the vicinity that don't have any of this fancy tech, but they still profit from this because they have basically the same weather, they have the same grass, they also have cows, so the parameters are more or less the same. So a lot of findings that we have do not only help this one farmer, but also all the other in the vicinity. And as you remember, it's about communities, and this is exactly this. So instead of being afraid of each other or being competitors, we work together on the rural side and help each other out here. The next up is smart energy. So here, the first example is in Spain, in Penedès. We have created a biomass traceability tool. So when the project started, I didn't know that, but I've seen similar things in food production. But it's very similar with biomass. So the thing with biomass is you need like a full chain of certificates, and you have to keep the certificates for the quality management, and also to show that it's for certain regulations. And for this, we've created the biomass traceability tool. So this helps with all of this very complicated stuff. And we also have the feasibility calculator. So in the rural area, forests are not expensive. So basically, really everyone can buy a piece of forest. And with the feasibility calculator, can calculate if it's actually feasible to do so, to buy this forest and to produce biomass. The next, we have energy community dashboard. And this is in the area of the southern Burgenland in Austria. And here we have energy community, and they are sharing energy within this community, and we're helping them with PV productions, but also with this dashboard. And last but not least, there's the Energy Advisory Service in Västerbotten in Sweden, and this is for assessing the energy efficiency of buildings, and we also help them and give them a clear way on how to improve their energy rating and also on how to retrofit the building. The next domain is smart health. So in smart health, we have two pilots. One is here in Alentejo. Alentejo is also the biggest pilot, and the other one is in Hålogaland in Norway. I will start with the one in Hålogaland. So here we've created the service Safe Search. Safe Search is there to manage incidents and help search and rescue teams. So it's in Norway. So as you might know, so Scandinavia is one of the last places in Europe where we have like vast amounts of nothing and just nature. And this attracts many, many people who want to hike there and go around there. But of course, sometimes they get lost. There are landslides, there are avalanches and other accidents. Maybe someone breaks the leg or whatever. And the big problem is there's no cell coverage. So what do you do? So if someone is missing, you have to find them, you have to go out there and look for them. And this software helps to manage it. And this picture is actually from a training. And it kind of it does the full Monty. So you have to manage the incident, all the teams, the communication between the teams, with rescue dogs, drones, and everything. The next up is the digital health service in the Alentejo pilot. So this is more about tackling the extra problems that we have. So if a rural area, you know it, so the children usually move away into the city because there you have childcare, you have jobs and everything. But the parents stay there on the countryside, and as you know, we aren't getting younger, so as they get older, they have more and more problems, and the services here help these families to care for the elderly people. So one example here is that we have sensors installed in these homes and also monitoring the energy usage, and with this we, for example, know if the elderly need help, maybe they fall down and are in need. The next domain is smart mobility. So in smart mobility, I would like to start with Kollukippi. Kollukippi application is being used in the Lapland region in Finland, and it's got a huge reception. So what is it about? So this is about a transportation service for school children that have special needs. And this is, I think, very important because I believe that people are willing to live on the countryside because it has so many nice things to offer. But the big problem is you will only live there if you are sure that you can have a comfortable and safe life for yourself, but not only for yourself, but also for your loved ones. And this is a great example for this because they bring your children to the school and it informs you about the whole process. So as soon as the child is picked up, you get a notification. When it reaches the school, you get another one. And it's get a huge reception. So there is actually a picture from a news outlet in Finland. It also was on the Finnish TV and is currently spread to other regions there. Then we have e-car and e-bike sharing in the southern Burgenland in Austria. And we also have, so this is for citizens and tourists. And we also have a complete map of chargers for both bikes and cars. We also have here live public transport schedules integrated in all the many applications. And we have a shuttle bus application that helps you to get around at local events. The last domain is smart tourism. So in smart tourism, first we have a destination management platform. This is currently used at 4 pilot sites, but there are two main pilot sites. This is the southern Burgenland in Austria and also Hålogaland in Norway. And we also have 3 outside stakeholders that are also using it. So there's also 1 hotel and 2 cities that are using them, and they are using them not for tourism, but also for public services, so to communicate with the citizens. And this service does a lot of things. So it kind of bundles all the information from the region, things to do, tours. We have in the panoramas, we have mobility service integrated. There's also a complete web shop tool in there. And I think what's great in here is that it combines many, many stakeholders. So in one region, we have 60 stakeholders, and all of them have a service in there that they offer or are selling locally produced goods or similar things. Then also very important, the data that it outputs. So everything is logged, so I have user logs, and this is then combined with sensors at the site. So down there, there's a picture of Hålogaland in Norway. So there they have just put up a sign for mystery door there, and here we have visitor counters and basement sensors. This is all combined to do data-driven tourism, because I think that in many regions, you think you know what tourists are looking for and why they are there, but you have no hard facts, you have no data on this. And with this, you finally have data on your hand to make decisions, but also to show others to get funding, because now you have real data to show. And we also have a marketplace, and this is to sell local produced goods. So now in the Christmas season, this is used a lot, for example, in Finland, in Lapland, and it can also be combined with another application called Parte. This is a locally delivery platform, so similar to the platforms that in Norway can buy food and it gets delivered to you. Yeah, so these are our main domains, but when you remember from the first slide, so we're in the last year, so we have all these great solutions, many people are working with this, they're all happy with it, but now when the year is over, we don't want it to just shut it off and that's it, because I think you all are in the same business here. This is usually how it goes with public funded projects. Once the project is over, it's just shut down. And we didn't want this. So we also came up with a solution here, and this is Smart Tomorrow. And if you remember anything from the day, then please let it be this one. This is very important for us. So Smart Tomorrow on the one side is our solutions to the continuity problem. So we want to continuously provide the services. And this is kind of how it started, but it became so much more. So what is Smart Tomorrow? So Smart Tomorrow is a platform that we set up, and it will start next year, and so after project end. And what it does on the one side is we want to ensure the project continuity. So it will be kind of like a software hub. So we'll have like Smart Tomorrow core software that will be continuously supported, and then we have Smart Tomorrow enabled software that you can simply use, and it automatically adapts to the whole ecosystem. The next up, and I think most importantly, we provide funding. So on the one side, we have private funding, and we will also help you to assess these funds. And the other sides, there are public funds. So we have like a catalog of public funds, but more importantly, we will also do more projects where we'll have open calls. So just like here in this project, if you liked it, there will be more of this. So please stay tuned here. And we will also focus on this community of practices, because we have now built all these communities and we don't want it to go to waste. And so this is very important, community of practices. By the way, tomorrow there's also a meeting about this at 2 o'clock. It will be somewhere around here, so come by tomorrow and have a look. So just 2 weeks ago, I was invited by DG Agri, and it was a cluster event, so there were many, I think 30 Horizon projects there. They all did some kind of community of practices. So I think this is very important, but what I would like this to become is like an umbrella organization or umbrella community of practices where all the projects can contribute, so they don't have to start over from scratch and work together here with us. And yeah, besides this, we also have, of course, community building events, workshops, and so on. And we have these huge networks of partners in there. We have several thousand stakeholders that we reach with AURORAL. We have around 60 companies that have been working with AURORAL, many more stakeholders that are using the solutions, and we provide matchmaking here. And yeah, in total, what we'd like to see become Smart Tomorrow is that it becomes a pillar that everyone knows of the European funding landscape, and yeah, it will be there to support smart communities. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. Okay, then next one. Yes. Which one's yours?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Raúl García Castro from Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, and I'm going to briefly talk to you about interoperability in Aurora. No? So we already know the problem of interoperability that is caused by heterogeneity. No? Imagine an organization that has to integrate all their infrastructure, all their data sources, no? Including IoT and so on. No? This is really a problem. Now imagine what we are facing or what we have faced in Aurora, no? Where we not only need to integrate all these platforms under one organization, but we need, in a decentralized environment, being able of integrating all the data from all these people, okay? And this forces us to take into account things such as further security, privacy, and things like that. No? So this is the problem that we have faced, okay? This is a bit the overview of the architecture that, as a summary, it is composed of a set of cloud services that enable these reaching agreements between organizations in order to interchange data and the conditions under which we are going to interchange the data. And then we have the auroral nodes that are the ones that will be supporting interoperability and that will support application of this interoperability to the marketplace services, to other kind of services, the service store that we have. Okay? So here, there is one very important part, that is the cloud services for reaching these agreements at an organization level. And then we have the auroral nodes, that is where, let's say, where the magic takes place. No? So apart from integrating all this data and communicating with the network, these nodes are quite intelligent, okay? They are smart, as we can use for everything nowadays, no? They are smart, they have a very high intelligence, okay? They are able of, apart from integrating this heterogeneous data, they're able of validating the data that is coming in and out. Again, we don't know which peer will send us data, okay? They are able of validating this data, of discovering data in this decentralized network that can be useful, also in a federated and peer-to-peer manner, okay? We have no centralized directory for information. Every peer is autonomous, okay, and contains the information about their data. And it's also in charge of keeping security, okay, and privacy of the data, okay? So each node is able of defining privacy policies to specify under which conditions their data can be used. And this can be enforced in runtime, okay, these privacy policies. So we ensure that you own your data and that other people will only be able of accessing the data that you want. All these nodes and all this interoperability approach also supports building on top of it. Okay? So for example, we have some services that are part from Auroral, like the conformance service that is in charge of assessing that all the nodes are conformant with our interoperability profile, that I will talk later. We can build a set of horizontal services that can be used for every pilot. Okay? We have, for example, the knowledge graph builder service to build knowledge graphs and to expose data from your nodes, or we have the artificial intelligence service in order to train artificial intelligence models and use them. Okay? And then we also support domain-specific services. Okay? We have seen the cases related to health, energy, and so on. And for having all these services, at the end, we need this interoperability layer underneath. No? All of our approach and the idea of Auroral is to follow standards, to contribute to these standards, and also to be open. Okay? Not open just by providing open tools and technologies, but also by accepting contributions, okay, to have this technology that outlives the project, no, over time. We have all our components publishing with open source licenses, okay, and anyone is open to contribute. We provide examples, documentation, okay, all these things. We provide, this is more technical, but we provide Docker images to facilitate the use of all these components by third parties, okay? One of the common questions that we receive is, okay, why do I have to follow your approach? Okay, at the end it is like that, no? And at the end, the message here is that this is not our approach, okay? I mentioned that Auroral is defined based on standards, okay? In fact, we, for example, in this graph, or this part in the right, these are the different aspects of interoperabilities defined at ISO level, okay? We have to ensure transport, syntactic, semantic, behavioral, and policy interoperability. So these last two parts are current work in which we are contributing in the project. And then we need that our nodes are able of interacting in this ecosystem, they are able of discovering the information out there in this decentralized and privacy-aware environment, accessing the information, understanding the information, okay? And for this, and we saw in the previous talk, we need to transform data into information and knowledge, okay? So our information, the information that is managed by the nodes, is semantic information supported by ontologies, by formal and logical models. So we need to ensure this interoperability to not only access the data, but also to understand the data and to validate it, okay? So this screenshot is a summary, okay, of the Auroral interoperability profile, okay? Any node must implement a conformant to a set of specifications in order to be part of the Auroral community. Just for closing, so here the thing is that Auroral is ready, okay? So we are, again, following standards and contributing to them, okay? Here I just name a few, no? The work in ISO, in Subcommittee 41 on IoT and digital twins. We are also compliant with the HCEN on IoT interoperability based on SAREF that was published a couple of months ago. In the W3C, we are also following and contributing to the Web of Things approach, to ODRL for all the work related to privacy policies. And of course, all the things and all the, apart from open source, we are following fair approaches from our data and so on, no? So at the end, the message here is that we are ready, okay? Our technology is ready, not only for adding a new node, okay? That it will happen in a transparent way, and we are seeing that in the open calls, okay? Or adding a new horizontal or vertical service, but also we are able of interoperating in our framework with external frameworks and platforms. We are able of taking our components and deploy them in another scenario in which we need this privacy-aware decentralized interoperability. And if you have been following my discourse, at the end, I'm talking about data spaces, okay? This layer of agreements and this layer of data interchange, okay? In fact, if we had written the proposal a couple of years later, Aurora will be about data spaces, no? So this is the key. Thanks to having a standard-based approach, okay, we are able of ensuring this interoperability with our technologies. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Não, isto está. Eu acho que começava assim. Okay. Good morning to all. I'm Portuguese, so say bom dia. So I'm Pedro Malofan on Parallel. We are an SME that's developing technology, so software, hardware. But here in AURORAL, we are doing this initiative, which is doing a catalog of the results of the project, okay? And this is powered by a tool of ours, which is the IoT catalog, which you can see it here in the screen. And the idea of this is that we want to showcase, for starters, and also to promote the results and the technologies that we developed in the project, and the synergies between the different pilots and everything that is being happened in the project, okay? So So the catalog is actually much more than auroral. So we have a lot of European projects already here and other projects. I'm going to show you a bit. I don't have a presentation, which I think is nicer for you to see the thing really live. So you can even go online and check. So the URL is iot-catalog.com. And you can see results from many projects and also including the auroral ones. Okay, so if you enter here, you can see everything that is happening in auroral in terms of the pilots and the technology and solutions and who has been involved. You can see here everything, so the many pilots and the use cases that has been happening in auroral. And for instance, if we go to Portugal as an example, you can see if I zoom a bit here, I can see only the Portuguese ones, and you see many of them. And I can enter one by chance. I can enter in any of these for you to see. And when you enter in one of these, for instance, this is artistic residences that is happening somewhere in Reguengos, Monsaraz. You can see everything that is happening here, and you see that it's an ongoing activity here in the case of this, because the project has not ended and still developing. The summary, and especially what has been happening. So basically, this is about these activities, some farming, some dairy, all of these things, and the partners that have been involved, the entities. And the most important thing here, I think, is the characterization, because in the characterization is the way that we see what is the real value of this pilot and what has been happening. For instance, they were about attracting more tourists there, promoting the interest on the scope of the region, and optimize the resource consumption. If you click on it, you will see that you have a set of problems that you need to tackle in terms of technological problems in order to address this, okay? And if you click, right, you see it highlighting here the set of problems. Like imagine, to optimize resource consumption, you need to analyze the energy consumption and water, the collect information, integrate the forecast mechanism. So you see all of this interlinked. And when you see also this, you can see the solutions down here. Say the solutions are actually the technology that has been used to address these technological issues, okay? And for instance, if I click, you will see that is going to highlight some of this down here. So in this case, these three. And if I change others highlight, okay, if I change this one, you will see that only the auroral node has been used, and so on and so on. And because the catalog is fully interlinked, so the information is completely interlinked, I can enter, for instance, this is a component, the auroral node is a key component, a broker, data broker in auroral that is widely used. So if I enter in this node, you will see this component here. And if I go down in the component, you will see that is being used in many of the pilots of auroral, okay? So you see that it's been used not only in the Alentejo ones, but also in many others, maybe in all others, okay? So you'll see that I can navigate from the technology side into the cases, from the cases to the technology, so this is fully interlinked. And because this node is also open source, you can go to the GitHub, which you'll see the node, and you can inspect that, you can download, try it for yourselves, and so on. And you have some documentation also linked to this. Going back to the auroral. So some of the cases that we have here, so we have all this information, the characterization, you can see all this information already. Some of them already has results, and we measure results using KPIs. Okay, some of the KPIs we are starting to collect in the project. They are not yet public, so you will not see them here yet in the public area of the catalog, but I will enter here in the private section just for showcasing one. So I'm just going to log in with the admin, okay, for being able to show this to you. So for instance, one here, a Nordic one that might have, let me see, one that might have the KPIs. This one doesn't have. So, because I don't know exactly what are the ones, all the ones that have KPIs, so I'll have to navigate a bit. So you see here, for instance, one of them that have KPIs. So when you see the KPIs, this is a way that we showcase how the project is going, how also the pilot is going, and at the end, you will see exactly what were the results, and you can even interact with these people to, if you have a different case or very similar one that maybe it's interesting for you to explore, you can get in contact with these people, okay? So you see here, let me show, for instance, some of the some of the things that we have, like number of active services, number of active users, number of interactions. So these were 3 KPIs that we used to measure. And you can see here what are the actual results in between the time since the project started until now and how it's evolving. Even some of them, for instance, this one has no measurements yet, maybe. These ones already measured and so on. And you can see the evolution. You can see in different ways also. You can even navigate and compare some of them if you want and different forms. So we have some nice ways for you to explore this information. So the idea of what is the idea of this catalog? This catalog is for sure for enabling the solutions of AURORAL to be shown to the world, for sure. But it's also for others to find and be able to explore the technologies that has been developed. Because most of the times we develop technologies, they stay in the deliverables that we write, goes to the web page, coordinates and so on. Nobody else reads deliverable because nobody really cares to read this many things. And you need a way to find very fast information and get the actual content and the actual technologies. And what was it used for? I think the key issue is here the context of use. Because if you go online, imagine that you want a sensor for whatever, for temperature. If you go online on Google, you don't know if it's a sensor for home, you don't know if it's a temperature sensor for the car. So how do you know the context of application? So the catalog solves that because it gives you the technology, but also what has been used for, and then you can select with more confidence the solutions that you want to explore. So this is from one side. But from the other side, the catalog has the technologies, right? So inside. So if you have a problem, you can also try to contact people that has technology solutions, offerings, and so you can do here a matchmaking between the offer and the demand, and you can internet work and make this happen. So this is actually the ambition of the catalog, to become this network, right? This social network even of interlinking and the marketplace eventually. And at the moment we have many projects here. So AURORAL is one. Others are also there. You can browse. And we have some other projects also Alentejo. For instance, we have another project which is Smart Agri-Hubs, which happened with EDIA. EDIA is the manager of the big dam in Alqueva. So we had a pilot with them. She's also here. So Alentejo is being represented from AURORAL, but also from other projects. So you could showcase the Alentejo, the many activities that are happening in Alentejo, not only from AURORAL, but from other things, okay? So I think I quit here. No more things to talk about. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to address them.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Raul. Thanks a lot, Pedro. Are there any questions? Please, there's one.
Thank you very much for all the presentations. Very interesting. I have two questions, one for Christoph and another for Pedro. Yes. Oh, thank you. My voice is much better now, thank you. So, Christoph, what I would like to ask is, I saw all these cases, these demonstration cases are very interesting. And in particularly in the smart farming and the smart energy, because the others have apps and so on, but in the smart farming and smart energy, how really is the information shared, for instance, with the neighbors that also have benefits from the cases? That's the first one.
Okay, so first I'm
not... You first, just note.
Yeah. So I'm, of course, not the expert here, so we have other partners here, but as far as I know, so they have a lot of sensors, like humidity sensors, temperature sensors, they know the weather, of course, and all of this stuff is basically the same in the whole region. And with this data, you can predict the quality and amount of the milk. And with this, you also know when it's best to produce, or maybe also what to do to increase the amount of production. And yeah, it's basically the same. So if you know that this Friday is the best day to do your production run, then it's likely also the same date for the farmers next door. And yeah, this is basically it.
Yeah, thank you. And now is for Pedro. Pedro, I think this IoT catalog is really interesting. And I have a question that this IoT catalog is proprietary from Unparalleled. It's from the software company, or is this a platform, a general platform? I didn't understood exactly.
Okay, so the catalog, the IoT catalog, I didn't want to take so much time there, so I can take a bit of time here. The IoT catalog actually was born on a European project that was about IoT, was YEP, and it evolved a bit on the IoT domain, but it's much more than IoT. Okay, so it's actually, let's call it, we are even rebranding it to the digital catalog. So the catalog of all digital things, so it can be anything that's digital. And the solution is Unparalleled solution, so it's from ours. There is no, of course there are components there, open source components everybody use, but the full solution is ours, yes. It's from Unparalleled, yes.
Are there more questions? Okay, so no more questions, and thanks a lot for listening to us and to visiting us here in Alentejo, and have a nice day. And yeah, let's have a talk afterwards. And I have to repeat this once again, so tomorrow at 2 o'clock here in the building is the Smart Tomorrow Cumulative Practice Seminar, so please join if you're still here.
Taken, and we have the video recording.
Oh, okay, good, good. Just for the recording.
So good morning to you all again. We are starting a new panel. And this time the panel is for new investors for innovation. So we've been here all morning hearing about innovation, about technology, about rural areas, and how to increase economy and society and critical mass in them. And here in CCDR we have something it is very valuable to us, and I believe it can also apply to the project, and not only to the project, but it can be applied to everyone it's here, I believe, which is leaving no one behind. So, of course, we are also talking about innovation, but innovation investing is something that we cannot not talk. We should talk. And here today with me, I have Mauricio O'Brien from FEBEA and also Teresa Bomba for Startup Portugal. We want to talk about these kind of things we can do to open new markets, bring people that somehow it is not in urban areas, but they have ideas, they have new business, and they can create value and in their region. So for explaining how different mechanisms, Mauricio from FEBEA, which has something that I read, it was very interesting, brings together, FEBEA brings together, I will read, different financial organizations driven by values of ethical finance. It is a very important sentences, I believe, and it will talk about kind of opportunities about smart tomorrow that are important to highlight here, and that can help not only Portugal and Alentejo, but other regions also, and Teresa Bomba, which is a very senior and important piece of Startup Portugal, which can also bring some highlights about not only the work they do, and that is very important here, but also about some connections that can be made, that are being made, but can be made in the future with some of our partners. So I will give the stage, first of all, to you, Mauricio.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to use...
I'll use presentation.
Okay.
Bom dia. This is the best I can do in my miserable Portuguese. I'm sorry about that. Anyhow, especially at the moment that we are, and I really appreciate the invitation that we have to speak at this table and talk about funding, even though it's one of those topics that is a very difficult bone to bite. But here we are before lunch, so I hope there's a bit of a moment that we could be hungry. Let me change. I don't know if it will switch. Yes. Okay. 1 second. Yes. Here we go. Yep. I guess so. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. This part of how we could define new investors. Where do we hire? Where can we find new ways of funding? Which is one of the most important parts, I believe, for the projects that are upcoming. There are already ones that you've been already working, different pilots. What's the next step, right? I probably do believe that it's the most important part. Analyzing and probably sharing, I come from a rural area. I work and I live in rural area, so we have to challenge ourselves to combat certain limitations that we already have, and you've already pointed out. Limited access to different digital infrastructure. It's true that it's complicated, but we are evolving. There's new infrastructure. There's online connections and the connectivity is being put in place all over Europe, okay, and different speeds, different levels, but there we are. Lack of digital skills is one of the topics that has been brought in every now and then here in this just presentations. We have to work on those digital skills, even though for more inclusive Europe and for more inclusive citizens in the rural areas, they could embrace digital technology if they know how to use it, you know. So therefore, we have to talk about youth. This is probably one of the key aspects in rural areas. We are losing talent. We're losing the relevant key actors in the different scenarios all over Europe. Depopulation is already a factor that we have to also tackle when we talk about working on the impact of rural initiatives. And we have to bring that talent and combat that talent with new ideas, new projects, new initiatives, even though they may be very humble and small and probably too risky for a big bank. right? But we have to find those other funding opportunities, and this is where you have, thanks once again to inviting us as FIBIA, and especially talking about alternative to access finance, okay? To bring not just this context of how could we drive this digital transformation, and innovation comes with a change, and probably is the debate that we have to open up with, start with a startup concept on how to be agile, reflecting something that is really complicated in our rural initiatives. Innovation comes in and hits hard. We've seen it already, and we've been talking about innovation, something that could be very abstract, but entrepreneurship knows all about it. And how could we develop those new models, business models, into a more sustainable development, inclusive communities, more that could access digital infrastructure, digital services, and the quality of life could be improved thanks to it. Not just it's a tool. This is where probably the debate with Rui already pointed out. I am one of those that say technology is a tool for progress. You know, in the same way as agriculture has its own tools for feeding us in a way. And how could we improve public services? We are lacking opportunities on public services. How could they improve the quality of life in basic, simple services as healthcare? And already Christoph was pointing out some of the examples that are working on that crucial areas. Education or public authority services, how could they be developed? How could we, and this is probably our role in the project, how to build strong fundraising strategies for that rural innovation, okay? We bring you, and this is where before it's an appetizer before lunch, to identify those target audience. We have to think about the relevant funding sources. Now, yesterday we just published almost 400 funding sources in Smart Tomorrow. So there is a big menu there. You know, the funding sources are already there. But we have to question ourselves, what is the project's goal? What do you have in mind that could be challenging? Which are the impact that you want to prove? Which is your valuable proposition that you're bringing into that potential scenario? We have to build strong partnerships. It's about the academia, it's about development agencies, it's about Europe and more Europe and more Europe, that we all need to participate in those partnerships and expand our limits and our limitations of our local realities with these alliances. And this is where we bring expertise and resources on our own. And how could we tackle progress? Okay, how could we work? And we've shown already examples on how we could talk about funding and impact. Knowing and understanding that there is a big, huge pile of funding mechanisms and tools, we have to highlight that it's a toolbox. We have to use those different tools in different moments for different purposes. Depending on the maturity of projects that could be reflected in the startups. Is it a matter of the different actors and stakeholders that are participating already in this project? How could they access funding for other stages and bringing those ideas to life? And once again, probably it's just a very raw catalog to give you some categories of over the different tools that we've mapped out in Smart Tomorrow. We may think, okay, which is the entity that it's promoting it? We know that the European Commission already has been pointed out, Horizon Europe, which, okay, it's cool, it's big, it's a big chunk of a budget, but it's complicated to put all the resources. If the success rate, it's 20%. Oof, putting all our expectations in one funding, it could be very complicated. So it's a matter of combining different tools, combining different moments and different purposes, and even different chunks of the pie, of our funding pie. What do we need? How could we fill these little pieces of the puzzle together? And just to list a bit the different entities or sources or tools that could be existent and that you will find in a Smart Tomorrow community, we could say, okay, which could be the actual next steps. We all know the EU funds and local authorities and regional authorities may already know structural funds are accessible. You have the resources for research and development for the specific need of innovation. We know all that part, but what happens with the local action groups? They could be actors already participating directly in the basic simple needs with leader funds, for example, which are well aware in the rural development policies through investments and especially impact. I'll go back again. We know private companies in those alliances with the stakeholders could also bring in and chip in, okay? This is where it's something that could be worked out on more that corporate responsibility and challenging, I don't know, grants or soft loans. We're told about which is the right way, or even match funding programs, you know, using crowdfunding and a small grant on the side or a microcredit if you're successful. We could already arrange a bit this story of Hansel and Gretel through funding. Very creative. This is why rural. And we don't have to forget that communities, if they're engaged with their proposal, if they're engaged with the people that are participating and pushing, this also could chip in. You know, this is where social economy gives us a lot of opportunities to imagine newer scenarios of funding, more collaborative, more participatory. Even it's a very old-fashioned system of funding in the rural. Community finance, who has not heard about community finance in the rural areas? If we translate it into other tools or digital tools, I will tell you, and they've been working with crowdfunding for years, is the same aspect. Community finance just done digitally and digital fundraise. To the ones that are developing those ideas, you all just to, and I'll shorten a bit so we could open the debate. We may know already a roadmap. How much money do we need, in which moment, and who could be the actors that would help us? At the very beginning, could be there. You know, we have an overall idea. Our financial literacy, that it didn't come out in one of those tackle and objectives that could be faced, it's important to face it. Know exactly what it is, what it counts on each one of these different funding tools, or where, or which is the type of chunk, or which is the responsibility I may have with an investor, and how could we build it. And this is where we know the traditional, the systemic tools are already there, put in place. What happens with the alternatives? We could be innovators also through funding by pushing more, why not? Crowdfunding is a Swiss tool, okay? It's a Swiss knife in this sense, in which you have donation, old-fashioned donation. You have reward, especially with tourism, and you have some perks. It's a pre-sale, if you think about it on a marketing perspective. You may have also crowd lending or even investments, okay, in equity crowdfunding. And there's a full regulation put in place by the European Commission, and it's equal for every single market all over the EU. So we've got something going on. Microcredits is important. There's tons of organizations on the ground working really, really hard to support those initiatives that sometimes may not access fully that perspective of a more traditional evaluator, okay? And, okay, there's a very clear cut that we're excluding people just by their rating, which doesn't work out if we're talking about rural and being inclusive. And urban-centric policies are already happening, and also urban-centric financing, which we have to tackle somehow. And why not? This is where bonds, those old-fashioned bonds in which there's social compliance or green bonds could come in with energy communities, with different organizations that could actually push it. Would be very interesting to know how it could be put in place. Anyhow, the most important, and probably it's what underlays on the funding side, and this is the perspective that is already coming in the upcoming calls at the European level. No funding from the European Commission is not going to be invested in something that is not good for our society. Okay, this is clear cut. And federal funds, with a new programming period, it has made a very clear statement. Impact comes first. So therefore, we have every single initiative that we may propose that is seeking for funding has already to establish which is their impact process, which is the economic growth that is very relevant for the European Commission, but also for our communities. In the job creation, which type of jobs, which is the quality, which is the, or even the gender of that, of it, or even as young, talented workers that could actually participate, and there's a full program for increasing revenues. We are told about quality of life. quality of life is with people in place, you'll have services, you have the capability of creating new scenarios where healthcare comes in, very basic. We talk about education. I've got a baby girl, 9 years old, and I want to give her chances to say, when she grows, I want to give her the chance to stay rural if she wants to, because if she goes, there's no future, especially on hardcore depopulated areas. The digital services are already put in place, and we've seen already many of the examples through this project that are really interesting to see future developments of what could be done next. Community engagement is super important, super important. With no community, although when we talk about Europe and we talk about the different rural context on every single partner, we'll have a different conversation, for sure, for sure. But we have a very basic and structural proposal that is, we're working for our community, for their greater good of societal common good, which I believe, this is why we're here, to share and debate. And the environmental sustainability comes with it. You know, everything has to already go under this prisma of that green technologies, resource efficiency. We're a finite world, and we're recently all hit the goal of 8,000 million inhabitants already in the world, and decrease and degrowth, it's already a phantom menace already there. How could we tackle mitigation? Anyway, and probably we're now close to closing 2024 and starting 2025 within this project, closing and opening new scenarios if we can. It's a final countdown. It's a final countdown for many things. The European Commission 2022 published a full report on which was the contribution of the European Commission towards the agenda of the SDGs. Let me highlight a small detail. We're very good at tackling no poverty. Decent work is already there. It's part of our business, and it's part of creating economical wealth, which is not bad, not bad. Affordable and clean energy, we've been pushing a lot with the Green Deal and situations. But what happens in the middle? If we think about our rural connections, our rural context, we may talk about sustainable cities and communities. What happens there? We're struggling a bit. We have to work harder to improve the quality of life in our communities. We may talk about reduced inequalities. You pointed it out already in the presentation. What happens there? Are we rural citizens, second-class citizens for the European Commission just because numbers or productivity? We could open a bigger debate right there and then. Or even responsible consumption. Most of the proposals that we're doing, from open source with open-minded, to share knowledge, to share the contribution of innovation and many of the organizations that are here. What could we do if we're talking about responsible consumption? We need that arm of people that are using new services, people that are using the alternatives beyond the market values exclusively. And I must say, probably, this is my killer, that look where we have a very moderate advances in sharing the impact of SDGs, in contributing on the value 17, in which there is the alliance of the different organizations that could contribute with other organizations to create more impact. We're not that good. So there's time for improvement. You know, well, at least we've got five years. I think the humankind always, stresses out with a deadline. We've got a deadline in 5 years' time, so I hope we can handle it. And it's been already pointed out in this session in a couple of occasions, in which obviously if we match impact and we match the SDG agenda and our policies, okay, and our even involvement as citizenship in our inner development, what could we do to be more resilient, to combat certain issues that already are reflected in the general opinion. For example, climate change is already very there. How we could combine it with that digital decade countdown, because their activities are already put in place. Digital solutions will save the world. Yay, but nay. We have to work them in very close collaboration with the different actors and different stakeholders. And especially knowing that there is going to be cutting-edge technologies with the digital twins, was already pointed out. We have different focus with a centric vision of humanity and technology. This is where we have to understand that there's rules that are common and are going to be stay. Even in the case of funding, happens always. Regulation comes in for greater good and sharing at least the game rules in between everybody. And digital skills happens with the same. You have to create those rules and frameworks that are common. And a bigger word, and probably we have to talk more about it, the very true meaning of democracy at the European level, as a national level, at the regional level, or even local rural democracy. We are, and this is where I make a statement, as a rural citizen, I want to regain rural sovereignty. And I engage with you just to see how could we do it. You know, funding is a true aspect of those initiatives. And we are here for you and to give you opportunities to check which financing methods do we need to go into that countdown. Remember that tomorrow we've got a workshop at 2 o'clock. So we also have another event online. It's a web series that we prepared for you, especially to try to melt this big, huge carrot of funding into smaller pieces that we could digest. We're talking about rural financing with EU mechanisms on the 26th from 10 to 12. You're more than welcome to please register, all partners and whoever is interested to come. And last but not least would be also on the 12th of December, we have this, how could we thread and connect together private investors and rural initiatives, which I believe is very crucial, not just EU funding, which is difficult and complicated, and also how investors, and probably this is where I'm wrapping up, I just want to invite you to register into the communication and to say thank you and hope we have a chance to debate and you have our contacts directly here connected.
Thank you, Mauricio, for your interesting words.
Passionate, I know.
Yes,
I know. It's a bit
enthusiastic
passionate.
words. And if I can say something right now, you aggregate a lot of things in your ideas. So, from my point of view, you have thought in an integrated solution where cannot be missing the public politics. So, I will also thank you for your intervention, but I will try ask you all to pay attention to Teresa, because I think what she can bring to us today, it is very important, because from my point of view, and you can say if I'm right or wrong, you also as a public politics, or at least the needs for political needs and measures for the field. So it is very important that you show us the stage is yours, use it, and we will listen to you very carefully also.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. I have the difficult task of keeping you focused before lunch, but I believe that we are sharing here some important ideas to let you know what we have at the national level to promote a specific sector of our economy and with it bring a new push for entrepreneurship and innovation in the country. So Startup Portugal is a governmental initiative which is acting at the national level since 2016, and we have been quite a big path since then to promote entrepreneurship and innovation, and where funding plays a crucial role to push this type of enterprises into place in our country. So we have, from the beginning, collaborated with very different relevant actors to push this, the growth of this ecosystem at the national level, and to promote this culture of entrepreneurship on the way. We started by doing a few activities such as getting the role of our country well played in the Web Summit, for instance, where we pushed national startups to the highlight of that event, and we prepare them to show their case and bring about interest on what we're doing here in Portugal. And then we started bringing this type of companies as well in our missions abroad program, so that they can enlarge the market and address new perspectives on customer acquisition. And since then, we've put up a series of new activities so that we accomplish our mission, which is to implement the national strategy for entrepreneurship here in Portugal. So this is our a long way. I'll go through some of those initiatives further on so that I can illustrate a bit more what we're talking about. So how do we work? Well, our main focus is on connecting. As I said before, we interact with several stakeholders. We don't do it alone at all. And we're an initiative that was pushed up by the Portuguese government at the national level, but we interact with all types of actors, and we are financed both by public and private funding, okay? But our major relevant actors here are necessarily startups and entrepreneurs, but also investors, corporates, incubators, and the government itself. Okay, so most of our activities go along the life cycle of this type of companies. So the ones in yellow are the ones we interact and we push forward at the national level. The first that comes up, and the third is the one we're pushing directly through our team in terms of financing this type of enterprises, but we collaborate with all different entities who are promoting several other initiatives so that this ecosystem grows thoroughly throughout the country and with different branches of intervention. So in grey, we have the further initiatives that we collaborate with, although we're not taking part directly. Despite all this range, our main focus is throughout the pre-seed stage and the seed stage of this type of enterprises. And we collaborate with all the stakeholders that we were mentioning for the other for intervention in the other stages that we can identify. And then, I mean, why Portugal? Why is it Portugal, in our view, an interesting place to promote entrepreneurship? Well, actually, we have a very important geostrategic position, as we all know, and we're trying to get advantage from it. But at the same time, we address a Portuguese-speaking market of 300 million people, which is already relevant at the worldwide scale. We have a very good positioning of the country in top expatriates destinations, which is also a good sign to attract talent to our country. And then we are also very well positioned in the World and Global Peace Index, which creates favorable conditions to promote it here. We access European markets, naturally. And we also have quite a big range of top universities promoting this movement of bringing innovation, technology, digital transformation in the country. So this is basically our motto, to understand the country unites or gathers relevant information, relevant conditions to promote this type of initiative. So our strategy is to play a role and position ourselves as an international hub, to gather this type of atmosphere here. We're taking upon, in collaboration with governmental authorities, a few measures working on the regulatory and taxation aspect of the growth of this type of companies here. We keep on, as I mentioned before, attracting talent to Portugal, and we have been relatively well succeeded in doing it so, as well as attracting more capital. More and more investors are getting based in Portugal and being open to promote and share some of their investment interests in this type of companies here. And of course, we continue to improve infrastructure and enablers so that the push and the quality of this type of companies continues to compete in national and international markets. Okay, so this is basically the major aspects that we promote strategically. We have, as I said before as well, been developing gradually a different combination of activities, and this slide shows you a bit what type of activities we're talking about. Of course, the presence in the Web Summit, as I mentioned it already, and the retaining and attraction of talent and upskill. We're working on the internationalization of these companies as well. We gather data so that we can know exactly and objectively what we're talking about, and we address the impact of what our initiative is doing, so that we actually make sure that we're making or we're working for the growth of this ecosystem at the national level. We have been addressed more recently the matching of startups and corporates, so that we embed the knowledge, the initiative, the entrepreneurship spirit into more standardized traditional companies at the national level. And we're working as well on the investment side, making sure that there's a smooth transition and there's no relevant market failure along the line of financial needs of these companies throughout the life cycle concerning this type of projects. So we provide directly pre-seed support. We do a lot of work, community work and networking for this type of companies. So we're making sure that all the pieces, all the relevant actors of this ecosystem get to meet regularly and share opportunities and match in their own activities. And then at the level of public policies and taxes, as well as some sort of impact and social responsibility from their actions. So this is basically the 10 pillars that make out the strategy we're putting in place. we're not doing it alone, of course. This is the level of interaction that we've been promoting. I believe that the composition of our strategic council is the best way to illustrate it. As you can see, and just to give you a broad picture, we meet regularly 2 times a year, and we have the opportunity to gather insight and contributions from people that are directly involved in startup activities and scale-ups, but also incubators and accelerators, and then corporates, public institutions, and universities. So the presence of the diversity of the stakeholders of this ecosystem is gathered regularly to make sure that the push and the mission keeps on going and improves along the way. So just highlighting 3 or 4 of the programs and initiatives to give you a more detailed idea of what we do. So we have One Stop Shop, which is the first contact that any individual company can have here in Portugal to understand what kind of conditions we have and where to start or how to solve specific problems in order to install their company here, to meet with other investors, or just to push up their own idea innovation into a business model and create a company out of it. So this is the first opening door to this to our offer. So last year we had an initiative on the governmental level, and we succeeded in putting up the new startup law, which is a very innovative initiative as well in our context, and we ended up being successful in framing a new legal status for startups at the national level, which helps, which keeps focus and objectively allows us to identify the startup companies for all different actors involved. And along the way, this new law also issued a new tax regime for stock options. And in both cases, at the EU level at least, Portugal is in the front line of pushing up for this offer. We are also trying to gather a lot of information to provide to the ecosystem so that we can be more successful in the matching of the different actors and interests that are involved here. So we're making a big effort in developing a platform for mapping the ecosystem with very detailed information about different types of actors, so that this match is focused and we promote the network that's needed to make it work in a collaborative perspective. As I had also the opportunity to say before, we have another initiative, which is to select startups. Along the year, we have 3 or 4 major initiatives in this respect, to select startups, as I said, to bring them to international markets and survey in a prospective way different markets where they can act and offer their own products and services. So since 2016, we have already brought 150 startups to different geographies worldwide in order to push our own offer into this scale of intervention. The Road to Web Summit is the program that we have to prepare the startups to play a role and take advantage of the presence in the Web Summit. And these two next slides are the two funding measures that we are offering directly. The financing that we're putting in place here, we have a measure that is aiming at pushing financial support for startups directly, which encompasses a public support grant of 30K per company, and with a total amount of 90 million available for this type of companies at the national level. This is funding from the Recovery and Resilience facility, and we're trying to understand the relevance of this type of instruments at the pre-seed level, so that we can envisage the continuation of providing this type of funding to make the push at this stage. At the same time, we also acknowledged that there was the need to promote quality capacity building for this type of companies. And we're doing it also with a measure directed funding for incubators and accelerators. They've been playing a huge role in preparing this type of companies and ensuring that the knowledge and innovation that we create, mostly at the university level, can grow and project into a business. Okay, and finally, our initiatives for community building. We have 2 times a year an event that gathers all incubators and accelerators in order to understand how can we help in ensuring that we have efficiently usage of the resources that we gather throughout all these different structures in our territory, to make the push for specific verticals or specific regions, and make sure that the push is nationwide. And we have our Above and Beyond Hangouts, which is an event that takes place, a thematic event that takes place once a month, and we invite different relevant stakeholders that play already a role and share their experiences over that theme. And we make the opportunity for also startups or incubators that are working under that area to make a pitch and match through networking in this type of events. It takes place simultaneously in Lisbon and in Porto, which is also important for us, so that we cover a big spectrum of the territory in that sense. Just to give you an idea, so this is all the different actors that we try to gather and involve in our mission. This is just an illustration of the type of actors that we already have in place in the country, and to illustrate as well what we've come up with so far. Just a highlight of the 6 unicorns that we have already with Portuguese origin, and the upcoming ones that are making a successful path through it in the last column. Finally, we're also involved in the initiative, which is a European initiative, which is an alliance of all member states of the EU to get together and try to push this at the European level. So ESNA was created also with the promotion and the initiative of Portugal a few years ago, and the aim is to make available everything that we're putting in place and make sure that all member states share and contribute to bring this push on entrepreneurship and valuing of innovation at the EU level. And I'll finish here and provide the opportunity for questions and some dialogue between all of us.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for the words and the opportunity to know a little bit better the important role you have in Portugal and I believe also in Alentejo.
Yes.
So, does anyone have a question to do? Does anyone want to make a question, please? Because the two people who spoke, Mauricio and Teresa, they said some things very, very important, as I believe you, in your position, want to explore. So, any question?
Maybe a comment, just before I give you the good news for the next minutes. So we saw here two different focus, startup ecosystem, also with funding, and an innovative way of funding. So I believe these are the mixes that we need to bring together in many of the regions to support and boost innovation. So I believe we need to learn from these presentations that were all morning, but specific on this one because it gathers together funding, a different way of funding, I believe, a different way of connecting money with opportunities, with innovation or with small innovation, and an ecosystem that is showing results in terms of startups in Portugal, unicorns, and innovation. So I believe we need to take further steps on identifying the key factors that may make these solutions be effective on the regions. Okay, so I believe this is actually what I've been learning and my comment on these presentations.
Okay, so that was my question to them. If there is no one who wants to make a question, because what I would like to know at the end, if it was possible and desirable to get the two of you together, because I think it was important. If it makes sense to you to get together to make a session for our startups and companies to make a workshop or a session to inform and to boost them. That's an idea, and of course we anticipated.
I always take a good invitation to come back and talk about funding, and in Portugal. Never the better.
But I believe we have a question. Can you please?
Yes, thank you. Maybe not specifically related to Auroral, but because we have some startup ecosystems here. I saw more and more demanding social entrepreneurs. And I would like to know, what do you think about it? What do you mean by social entrepreneurship? How can we measure, how can we boost this kind of entrepreneurs? So it's different from what we consider entrepreneurship so far. And what do you recommend from your experience?
Okay, so basically that's one type of entrepreneurship, which is very focused on providing social impact or social results. It's one aspect that we've been trying to develop further and further, because it's, I mean, the economic driven companies are a huge part of our ecosystem, but we've been more and more getting focused on a very specific niche of this type of companies, which also wants to provide through their activity social impact. Actually also environmental impact. We call it impact in general. But there is a role for this as well. And in Portugal, we do have the conditions to promote this type of economic activity here. We're pushing it as an ecosystem as a whole, but on the investment side and on the alternative investment possibilities, there's also a specific focus that is slightly different from what we're talking about here in general. And the focus is that when we start talking about funding and funding related to investment choices, inevitably we start with grants, but we move on as companies, enterprises grow to other types of investment which are expecting a return on their investment. And the role here of these companies and this specific type of investment is that they are focusing on the idea of combining the return on investment, financial return, with a societal or environmental return. And this is the way that we're looking at this perspective, and I think that there's a lot to be done still in that path. Thank you.
If I may add, I agree with you. It's like we cannot forget the sustainability, the financials, and this is something we do with our entrepreneurs. It's like you may pursue maybe sustainability in the environmental side or social impact, but in the end you need to make this sustainable, meaning somehow you need to pay the cost, pay the bills, and in the future ensure that this will continue and maybe grow. So it's not only social, you need also to include the technological factor, the environmental, and the economical factor. So I agree it's harder from the social impact point of view to make it sustainable from the financial point of view. So we need to show society that sometimes the win is not only money. The win can be perceived in other factors and other aspects of life. But it's really nice to hear from you, and because this is very hard to do, how to show this benefit to companies or to society in general.
True. It's a big challenge.
Yeah, I'll chip in, and yeah, there's always this blurry line between social entrepreneurship and what social economy could do. I don't think it's about taxonomy or a strict definition of how they're explained. It's what they do, okay? Entrepreneurs in rural areas, they're challenging every single obstacle you could imagine, because they're remote, because they have different typologies of funding, access, they don't have the visibility in regular media, you name it, okay? Which is very challenging. If we look at the visibility of those initiatives and the definition of the impact on the revenues and that's a completely different story. If we talk about social return of your investment, when we talk about impactful, meaningful funds that are available for those types of entrepreneurships. If I asked you, and this probably I'll put my ball, and I've done this joke yesterday, I'm going to do it again. If I asked you which would be the return of the social economy, for example, in Spain, into its GDP, how much would you say? I know, it was a silly question. 10%. 10% of the Spanish economy's GDP is related to social economy, with the categories of what social economy is in Spain and social entrepreneurship, yada, 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 okay? How much is its visibility? Right? It's always, come on, you know, it's social economy, right? Which is the impact of football in Spanish economy? It does just get to 2% of the GDP, 2%. 10%, 2%. Which is the visibility of football and which is the visibility of social economy and the greater good? This is a bigger debate. Not just about funding, it's about dissemination of true impact, meaningful impact, needed impact that we have to face. We're facing And that triple balance that you're talking about, being sustainable economically, financially, it's the main goal of any social entrepreneur or any social economy. They have to live above the drowning waters of the market. They have to pay wages, they have to create an impact, but they're engaged with their values, their mission, with their community first, always. And this is, I believe, most of what the rural entrepreneurs drive for. So we have to embrace it. Thanks for your question.
Thank you. I think there's another question.
Yes, hello. I have a question for Fabia, and it's how do you see the user experience of a Smart Tomorrow platform in the rural regions? And because I think one thing that you didn't mention too much in your second slide is that there's a lack of resources, you know, and especially in some domains, such as tourism, at least in Norway, is one of the biggest industries, but one of the largest margins within the profit. And my question is, like, how can we take down such a platform to like regional levels and get past, like, there's a lot of regulations, documents, and it's increasing. How do you see the user experience for such platforms?
Okay, I'll go first. Okay, I agree that bureaucracy on regional level, leader funds or EU funds, you have to justify every penny what they give you. And regional authorities are buried on paperwork. Okay, therefore, this is the problem. How could we face it? We make it more accessible, different tools existing. We try to help to build bridges in between the different funding tools. And it's a matter of conversation and existing funding, training, consultancy, and mentorship. We could bring it to a very down-to-earth level, from entrepreneur to entrepreneur. We could take it to a next level in which a regional authority wants to expand their catalog. Please let us know. We're more than happy to share the information because it's there for you. Into even a public authority that wants to explore other mechanisms more precisely on how to combine it. We have to break silos. We have to say it more often. Horizon Europe is there, Leaders Fund is there, but reaching there takes a lot of time. And there's other funding mechanisms to get there. Ethical banking, crowdfunding comes in, community finance, it's built in, and it will lead us the way. It would be the story of Hansel and Gretel. You go for a little chunk, you build in, and then you knock the door of your public authority, say, hey, I've got something that is already working out, and I need you to help us out a bit, because we're already up and running. That would be different, a conversation. Same thing would happen if you go to the bank and I just have an idea, and I'm coming for a loan. They go, go that door, I'll see you in 5 years' time, right? If you do get investors that trust you, a pre-seed period, that would be a completely different story going to the bank 3 years after saying, hey, I don't need you anymore, but I'll put my bank account with you if you want, right? So I think we have to open up these conversations, and please, if you have a contact that would be willing to listen, we love talking about funding. So just let us know.
Okay. So, sorry, no more questions. It's now break to lunch. As you've probably seen, there is a permanent coffee and food station back the back of the auditorium. If you run out of food or out of something to drink, please tell us, because we are very tight on waste. So there is more food, but if you need, it will be refilled. Okay, so just check it. For now, and just for you to see something, but probably most of you haven't seen, there is an exhibition on the ground floor that has the open calls, the open calls projects that were approved. I invite you, for the ones that are not very angry and need to rush to eat, just come with me and we'll see the exhibition, and you can go and eat. So please follow me.